Okay, but you just said that the woman who did the GPR examination went to college with you. The director of the company that actually did it is a man named Julio. So who did you go to school with?
No, she's an instructor at the university I went to, and I mean, I can read her name here. So this is the girl who did the GPR technology test, which once again, GPR cannot pick up organic matter. Her name was Sarah Bellew. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. I'm terrible with French names. So she conducted the search herself, and she stated, nothing she has found can be confirmed unless excavations are done at the scene. These excavations have not happened.
I'm not going to lie. The indigenous guy, I don't like him. I don't like the way he's talking. He's speaking in a very like robotic and pompous way. And he's being very condescending in the way that he's talking to everybody. Regardless of who you think is correct here, the way that he's going about this conversation is already like kind of ridiculous. Like he's not going to come off well if the entire time he's talking down to everybody else and talking over them. He's got to sit back a little bit and like ask questions and get people to give their positions before he goes on the attack. We talk about this all the time, like with Vosh, or even what I did last week where I should have like laid out why it was I was attacking somebody before I started attacking them on it, instead of attacking them on it and then explaining why I'm attacking them on it. That's what he's doing. He's attacking them first and then trying to justify his attack, whereas you're going to be much better off like getting all of the positions out in the open and then saying, okay, well now I'm going to attack you for that position.
Of course. Yeah, I guess my first response would be that if your assertion is that nothing bad happened at that school and then therefore it doesn't matter, my statement as to which
I feel like that's a really, really, really bad faith interpretation of anything she just said. Like, did anybody else get that from what she just said? Am I missing something? Nothing bad happened, so therefore we can just forget about it, or it doesn't matter? Like, did anybody else hear that from anything she just said? Am I crazy?
And I guess that's where I would leave that one. If I know Tail hasn't talked very much, if he wants to inject something here.
He fell asleep.
Oh, okay, I mean, any
got a response to that.
Yeah.
Anybody's free to grab it if.
Okay, because
yeah, go ahead.
Stating "prove to me that nothing bad ever happened in that school" is one of the dumbest statements I have ever heard.
True.
Something bad happens in every school, whether it is the fanciest, nicest, wealthiest, whitest school.
Like, it's also proving a negative. Proves something bad never happened in that school. It's like, wait, what? Like, no, you have to prove that something bad did happen in that school. What are you talking about? Prove that something bad didn't happen in that school. You can't prove a negative. This is ridiculous.
Sure. So if that's the dumbest thing you've ever heard in your life, you've lived a more privileged life than I thought possible. And I'm just going to say this. The burden of proof would then be upon you. If you're going to assert that this school doesn't...
No. Oh, no. He said it. No, he said it. The burden of proof is upon you to prove a negative. Oh, my goodness.
And can you establish then that nothing bad happened in that school? And if you can, fine. But at the end of the day...
You can't establish a negative.
What? So yes, it does matter what happened and what these schools turned into later on.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know if Tail is still here.
At this point, I'm just baffled. So,
okay.
So far,
I'll let you speak.
We've denied the Indian Act. We've denied the removal policy. We've denied that because one...
See, this guy's freaking pompous. He's coming off like in the worst light possible. He hasn't actually like displayed any of the claims that he's making right now. He hasn't like shown these things to be true, or that she's denying any of these things, but he's making these claims over and over and over.
guy said a bad thing incorrectly once. Therefore, all atrocities never happened. We've denied
No one is saying no atrocities.
Wow.
That's what we said.
Wow. Wow. This guy is so bad faith, dude. Wow. What? Like, he needs to just be kicked off the panel for that one, dude. Like, they need to be like, okay, what were we doing putting this guy on here? Like, this is stupid. Get off the panel. Like, you're a freaking idiot, dude. Get out of here. Like, she has admitted to almost everything he just named.
We've denied mass graves exist, even though the definition of mass is big. So at this point, I'm just lost. What definitions are we even working with? I'd really like...
That's bad faith, dude. Okay, so yes, the definition of mass is big, but what it is that you're implying with a mass grave is that a bunch of people were like lined up and shot, and then they just fell into this grave, and then they just threw a bunch of dirt on top of them. Or that they there was just one big hole, and then they piled up like hundreds of people into that one hole, and then just threw some dirt on top of them again. Like, these are the ideas that we get when we hear the word mass grave. Now, is it a graveyard with a lot of people? Yeah, sure. All graveyards are there with a lot of people. So, like, we're gonna have to kind of get into what it is we think the difference is here between all other graveyards and this one. That's what, like, Lance and his partner need to be saying, but they haven't said that yet. They just keep saying it's a mass grave because it's a grave and it's mass. Oh, brother. He asked a freaking question. You asked a question. Don't act like they didn't allow you to finish. This freaking guy, dude. This freaking guy. I am about to jump through the freaking computer screen, dude. Like the side that Sassafras agrees with. These two guys are so insanely dumb. Like, this isn't even a fair conversation. You've got two fairly smart, fairly intelligent individuals on the top row, and then on the bottom, you have two brain-dead numbskulls who can't even get through a conversation without misrepresenting the other person and even themselves when they just ask a freaking question and they answer it, and then they're like, well, can you not let me finish a sentence? Yeah. Isn't the question mark at the end of your sentence you finishing the sentence, buddy? It sounds unworkable that people in government have to pay out of their own pockets for every mistake, but fair enough. I wouldn't be against some more accountability. I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to even know what these people's stances are right now. It is. Like, I don't even know what they're arguing. They just keep saying, like, oh, so are you saying blah, blah, blah? Or I am blown away that you would even suggest that this didn't even happen. They're like, what? Nobody said that. Nobody said any of these things. What debate are you guys in that this is what you're hearing right now? I hate these people.
I'm curious why we keep setting this as a long, long time ago. I was still figuring out Windows 95 when the last of the boarding schools in Canada was closed. There were even still a few that are open today in the United States. These are ongoing crimes.
We address that, keep up.
Yeah, this guy has been tuned out for so long. Like, he wasn't paying attention when they went over, like, the fact that, like, yes, some of the schools were still open, but they weren't continuing the same practices that we're talking about today. So we need to only talk about the certain times when these schools were still continuing the practices that were so detrimental that that they might lead to something like mass graves.
Then address it again.
Okay, not to mention, even
Tale, if you want to speak, you're free to speak.
At this point, I'm a little bit lost. There's been a lot of philosophical.
No, duh. No, duh. Everybody listening to this can tell you're freaking lost, butto.
Quibbling over the definition of the word mass grave to the point where someone had to Google it because they didn't even know the definition coming into the game, which I think is a little.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! 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 This freaking guy, dude. Oh my goodness, dude, this freaking guy. They had to look it up because he didn't know what it was. Because he didn't know what the freaking definition was. They looked it up to tell him what it was. Oh my goodness. Yes, he just said it's just something that's big. What the heck? Oh, this guy is so bad faith. Like, this is just let me see their faces. I can't.
Inappropriate. If you're going to be discussing a topic, you should at least be mildly prepared. And when we're talking about things like ground penetrating radar, I again go back. If we're going to challenge the findings of those who have done the research, then you're challenging the foundation of archaeology in the Americas. If you would like to do that and lay out your argument for a better technique for identifying locations that should be excavated, I welcome you to do so. You haven't proposed anything remotely resembling that. What you did instead was to say that you went to school with a person whose name you can't pronounce, who is somehow vaguely related to a company who's oddly not listed anywhere on the company's prospectus. That's not terms, that's not definitions, and that's certainly not facts. That's just random anecdotes.
I have just posted the article in the chat.
Lord, please, for the love of God. Tale of Twin Rabbits, I'm pretty sure your brain is running on 1995, okay? We're fucking 30 minutes into this goddamn debate talking about, like, I don't know, terms about fucking murder and descriptive reality and history and all that kind of shit. And you want to talk to Lauren about fucking GPR and whether or not she can offhand fucking come up with a new way to conduct anthropology? I don't give a shit. Fucking catch up. Because basically what you're doing right now is you're acting smarter than everybody else in the fucking room while saying absolutely fucking nothing.
True.
If you want to take your fucking galaxy brain fucking 10 head and your individual experience, then please educate us. But if I have to hear fucking Lauren's a dumbass about GPR one more fucking time for 35 fucking seconds, I'm gonna fucking lose it. So either educate us, talk about the subject, keep up with the fucking conversation, or just don't bring up GPR again, because I don't give a fuck and I don't trust Lauren to reinvent anthropology in the next fucking 10 minutes. Okay, so let's move.
Way,
If you would like to somehow contradict what I said there, you may feel free to do so.
You guys are the ones with the positive statements. You guys are the ones who were supposed to be making the claims. You're the ones who were supposed to be giving the facts, and they are supposed to rebut those facts. You keep putting the onus on them to prove a negative. This is insane. I am like, I can't tell you. I am never going to have to shave again after the end of this debate because of how much hair I will have lost by the time this frickin' thing is over. This is driving me nuts.
No, continue, I guess. I have thoughts on all of the debates.
I plan on, like, when I finish this, going and looking at, like, everybody else's reactions to the surf stuff, because it was, oh my goodness, that is by far the worst debate I have ever seen in my life. It was
everyone
by far
disagrees.
the worst.
I mean, everyone literally disagrees with each other. Well, I can tell. What I can tell you is, okay. So, what do you think was the problem with that?
So, Lance and his partner were supposed to be the ones coming in with the positive claim. a genocide happened, and it happened because of these schools, and it happened because these schools were doing this, that, and the other, and they killed this many people, okay? Instead, it starts with CounterPoints and Lauren making the negative claim and then defending it. And it made no sense. And so Lance was able to go so far. We're only like 60-70% of the way through the debate, but so far he's able to go as far as we've seen without making a single claim, just turning around and going on offense, but never actually making a claim the entire time.
That's the good thing, right?
It's good as far as like a tactic goes. Yes,
it's good for him.
But the problem is that I think that his position actually has like some validity and credibility to it, and that if somebody else could have debated this, they could have like it came out looking.
Wait. No. Lauren Southern. That is the point. The point is not to have, you can't have a real conversation with Lauren Southern, who shoots flares at refugees. Like, you can't, that's not the point of that, right?
I guess, I mean, she came out looking great in this debate so far.
No, she didn't. She finished, like, screaming. Oh, you didn't finish it?
No, like I said, we're like 60% of the way through, so like...
Oh, no. Oh my God, you haven't seen, it turns amazing and the end is amazing. I'm sorry, please. I'm sorry that I kept you from, okay, I'm sorry. It was great. I spoiled it for you. I'm sorry. I just saw like...
Well, no, I was told don't watch it on Dylan's platform. Watch it on the Serfs platform because stuff happens afterwards that you have to see.
Yeah.
So we've been watching it on the Serfs platform.
Yeah. I watched it from there too because Dylan cut off sometimes too. I guess like the video or something. But yeah, she didn't end up looking good. Okay, so then.
But yeah, Lance just, especially his partner came off completely pompous, never said anything of validity, never said anything of value, never like, he literally didn't argue with them. He never said, you're wrong and here's why. He never did that. And neither did Lance.
Didn't they kind of like, okay, so what was accomplished here? Who won?
Okay, so far, CounterPoints and Lauren come in and they say, you're wrong. Here's why, here's why, here's why. And then Lance and his partner come back and say, oh, so you're saying blah, blah, blah. And then they completely misrepresent them, make it sound like they weren't listening the entire time. They come nowhere close to actually like repeating their arguments back to them. But they about
the arguments.
What do you mean? It's a debate.
No, I know, but I mean, it's a different situation when someone who is like, I mean, truly, a hateful human being, right? She's like, can we all agree with that? Like, literally, if you get on a boat to shoot flares at people who are seeking asylum, then you are a special kind of fucked up.
I would say yes, but I would also say that, like, so far from my vantage point, since she's come back and been fighting with the alt-right and been fighting with all the extremists and everybody, that like her opinions do seem to have changed, at least temporarily.
Okay, we're in a different temporary. So if someone's going to debate her, if she is pushing the shit that she's pushing in that debate, like the lines that she was going down weren't going to lead anywhere good. They weren't leading into good faith debate. Like you can't. The
problem is that she had CounterPoints on her side and he looked amazing the entire time.
No, he didn't. Oh, you didn't get to that part. Wait, did you get to the part where he freaks out?
Yeah, I mean, look. if I was him, I would have blown my freaking head off like in the first 20 minutes of this.
Right.
They,
but can you also look at the entire picture, right? What's the point of having a 2v2 with Lauren Southern? What's the point? Like, what do we want out of that?
well,
We want,
Lance,
especially with Lance, who we thought Lance is not a debater. He's
Right.
not a good debater
Right.
when it comes to those random things, right?
right?
But he was able to handle her, not in a hypothetical, like a distant, abstract way, but because he is indigenous. This is about like his life experience. He could just he didn't have to like really, he could counter the things that she said instead of having to like go do a presentation on like how all the indigenous people feel and think. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? It's a different, this is why I'm like, this was good because there was a reason for it to happen. At least I think that people have the right to defend themselves against people who are saying like bad shit about them, like,
Sure,
you know,
but it doesn't
great
seem as
real
though,
shit.
from my perspective or from what I've seen so far, he doesn't defend anything. Like he
No,
doesn't.
just wait till the end. Okay,
Okay.
wait till the end.
All right.
But yeah, so then we can, that's interesting though. Okay, go ahead.
Like, yeah, it's just it's frustrating watching it. Like,
No, just watch
Lauren and Connor are making a million points and arguing and like giving stats and giving figures and like going over studies, and Lance and his partner are just like, wow, that's what you think, and then like that's it. Like that's all they give. Like,
I know, but and yet they're frantic, and yet they get. But also, why would counterpoints be up? Like, I don't know. I thought,
so
didn't
okay.
Lance want to debate on his own with her?
Yes, so Lance wanted a 1v1 and kept like asking for a 1v1. Then she said, I'm not going to do a 1v1, but I'll do a 2v2. And like,
Why?
well, so one,
She's
because of what we just went over, like her arguing by herself on this because of who she is, she would have come across looking really bad. So like without even watching the debate, everybody would have just assumed, okay, Lauren Southern lost because she's a piece of crap. But then she's debating right next to Counterpoints instead. And so her and Counterpoints both hold the same position, which validifies what it is that she's saying. And so then like she can actually go and make her points and
Wait. Is Beheller saying that what's a debunked landslide?
Destiny. Oh, so Lance kept saying that he never requested to debate Lauren Southern. He kept posting it on Twitter saying, I never asked to debate her. She was begging to debate me, and so then she was like, no, your people kept reaching out to me saying that they work for you or with you and that you wanted to debate, and so then he kept denying it on Twitter, and so then Dylan came out, and Dylan was like, okay, no, like, Lance asked me numerous times if I could set up a debate with Lauren, and so I eventually started reaching out to her, and then now he's denying that he ever asked me to reach out to her.
So weird. Why? That's so weird.
Lance is a freaking Weasley little liar, dude.
Why? No, he's not a Weasley liar. Like he's not a liar like that. That's not, I mean, like, whatever your opinion on debating stuff is, like, I don't know. I mean, I could see, I mean, fuck. I mean, I'm not saying that that's a lie. I'm just saying that that's, like, awkward. But I just don't know what the lie was. Like, aside from what? Wait, what was the other lie?
Oh, I mean, there's been a lot of stuff. Like, he kept denying that like the charity that he raised money for was connected to Hamas in any way, and then afterwards changed it to, yeah, they're connected, but the money isn't actually going to Hamas, and then eventually changed it again.
That's not what that is. It's like it was actually very it was weird how it kind of went back full circle, because it was kind of unfortunate, because it started off where it turned into the debate about like the Hitler stuff and the what was it companies that
You're talking about the IBM
previously
stuff, yeah.
Yeah. It was weird because they were talking about like subsidiaries or something like that. Like how it's like not America's how it's like not exactly
IBM worked with
thing.
well, no, IBM did work with the Nazis. Like the Americans did work with the Nazis.
Oh, okay. Was there someone else that wasn't? Or was that just all made up? I don't know what.
No, it was like, no, he was right for the most part, but he was making it sound as though like the company today is like responsible for deaths of Jewish in concentration camps because they worked with the Nazis before the concentration camps ever turned up, and that they had no clue that their technology was going to be used for that sort of stuff. And so then
Wait, no, I see what you're saying. I mean, shit, I'm really stoned. Hold on. Like if it were happening presently, like right now, it would still be like American IBM, right?
Yes.
So we wouldn't be able to be like, oh, that's like a different entity.
Correct. Yeah, it's the same company.
Oh, so then was the original thing? Oh, wait. So are you saying that he's basically right, but the only reason why he is wrong is because the Holocaust isn't presently happening?
No, he made it sound as though when they were like the IBM was working with the Nazis to make the Holocaust happen. But they stopped working with them like 5 years before the Holocaust, though the Nazis were still using their technology. And so he's saying because the Nazis used IBM technology, IBM should now be apologizing for making the Holocaust happen. Whereas everybody else is wait, they didn't even know that their stuff was going to be used for that. Like they weren't helping kill Jews. They just supplied technology to people who paid for it, and then that was it. And then it turned into the Holocaust and all of that stuff, and they cut ties and stopped helping them.
Okay. I guess so. Okay, so IBM only worked with them up till that point and not during?
Right, like before they even stopped like years before.
Years before what?
Any like concentration camps had started.
Oh, right. So there was no more IBM there at all?
No, yeah, like yes, they weren't helping the Nazis because I think there were even like
they didn't use the name anymore.
Well, no, it had nothing to do with the name. It's just like the Nazis already had their technology, but they weren't like working with them, selling them stuff, helping them with anything. Like they had cut ties. So like the Nazis still had IBM technology. There. Right.
Yeah, there was no presence. Like there wasn't. Right. Okay, so the IBM presence stopped existing when they stopped existing there.
Right. And I had gone over this actually a couple of times, like a year or two ago. And
okay. Well, okay, keep watching the thing.
Okay.
Keep watching it. All right. I'll be here. Continue now. Hurry up.
Okay, I'm going to respond since you talked about my video. Lance, I watched your video and you actually liked the beginning of my video because I did not ignore the problems that happened in residential schools. I discussed.
Oh, yeah, this is it. It's a 10-minute video.
Some cases, quite literally, where kids were both physically and sexually abused. Many people
Yeah, see, she seems to admit to all of the important parts.
handle the dead from Indian residential schools, but land, meaning the members of the church, the people employed there, the people who run charity work there and are receiving it, the people who go to worship there are likely indigenous themselves and may
She was way hotter when she had bleached blonde hair. The brown thing doesn't do it for me.
even be the descendant of a religious group that is now gaining mass hatred in the country from the public for every Catholic church in Canada was mysteriously burned to the ground. I wouldn't be upset. Hashtag
Wow. Okay.
cannot just exist. You can talk about both problems. Why not? And we need to, because we actually have an injustice happening today that we can. When it comes to the church burnings, you seem really interested in ensuring we have found the culprits and ensuring we have proper convictions. Yet when it comes to the Catholic Church, you were just saying we should be outing the names of people who have been accused, not convicted. So why does your, passion for justice and innocent until proven guilty exist for the
She's
church burnings,
right.
but not for the Catholic Church?
Sure. So that's not.
She's right. So he was saying that, like, earlier they were saying that, like, lots of the priests or lots of the nuns, lots of the people who work there. What's up, Rachel? Actually, Aiko, Rachel has had your back completely when it came to the Vosh criticisms. So she felt as though you hit the nail on the head. Aiko, are you still awake?
Oh, I wrote in chat. I forgot that I was here.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Oh, hey, Forever Wild. Thank you. See? Join us, Tom.
I was
Join us.
your freaking mod. I was fully in there. Like, I couldn't join any more than that,
Listen, Rachel, you need to tell Tom that it was a good idea to demod him. I mean, you don't have to.
It's okay. The wedding's
don't
back
have
on,
to.
but I'm still gonna be salty about it.
You don't have to.
So Lance earlier was saying that we need to release the names of all of the priests, the nuns, anybody who may have had anything to do with abuse of these children. Whether or not we have proof that they actually had anything to do with the abuse doesn't matter, because we don't want these people being protected. We need to go ahead and get their names out there, and then we can decide whether or not there's enough evidence for what the claims are against them. But then when it comes to the church burnings, he's like, hey, hold on, let's not lay blame at anybody's feet too quickly. Let's make sure that, like, we have the horse in front of the cart. Let's wait until we know for sure who it is that's doing these church burnings before we start throwing accusations around. So, like,
Actually, I mean, there is a difference. The difference is that it's kind of being the accusation of, like, indigenous people as a whole, of it being indigenous people, like activists on behalf of the group of indigenous people, versus, like, specific specific clergy members or whatever that may have abused. Whatever. I can't remember exactly what it was that
he wanted specific names, though. He was saying, like, their names should be out there.
Are they alive?
No, of like and I probably not, because
they're dead. Then fuck that. Who cares?
Well, you're going to, like, nobody ever remembers when somebody's name is cleared. They just remember the bad crap that comes out about them.
They're fucking dead.
Would you not care if, like, people made up a bunch of crap about you after you were dead and said, like,
I'm not
you did
saying
stuff?
to make up stuff. I'm not saying. I mean, like, okay, what do people do right now? How does it work right now?
Right now, we we get evidence, and then if we think there's enough evidence to say that somebody did something, then we out them, or there's a whistleblower, or and we.
What exactly does he want?
He wants the people who may have done something. He wants their names to be out there in the open, and then we can decide whether or not they did it afterwards.
Oh, like people who have allegations against them that were kept secret?
Yeah.
As opposed to allegations in a public setting would have been public, right?
Right.
But
and
since it's within the church.
For me, the bigger difference is that outing these names isn't going to stop any more things from happening to indigenous people right now. Whereas outing whoever's burning down churches could actually stop churches from being burnt down. This is actually happening right now. I don't want any blame thrown at or accusations thrown at anybody without credible evidence first.
Right.
But
I mean, however it works right now, what I do think though is that there's a difference because the churches are typically the ones that are defended by people defend those people do not defend indigenous people, and they're the side that's easily vilified. So I think that you just have to remember it's not exactly a 1-to-1. You have to kind of just, I mean, it's, there's context to shit.
Yeah. Also, I want to mention, the entire time watching this, my understanding was that the Catholic Church ran all of these schools. Whereas when I was reading about this, actually, it wasn't even Catholic Church burial grounds. It was school grounds that was run by a bunch of different denominations all working together to fund these schools.
The system. It's was it a private church stuff, but not of the state?
No, he was so they're actually public schools because they're paid for by these all of these different churches, all of these different religious groups were paying for these schools, and so they became public schools.
Oh wait, but they were funded not by the
government,
state or whatever?
Right? Correct.
Wait, did they receive funding though?
So Sassafras says the government was in charge, but they let the churches run it, and these were from, and I believe that these were specifically it's similar to what we would call a charter school, but I also believe this was specifically for indigenous children as well.
Right. So it was through the government paid for it, and then they let the schools do run it how they see fit, the way when the weirdo schools that I went to that received funding, but
so it was more
whatever.
It was more the government is in charge of the curriculum, what happens there, they can come down on you, or you can get in trouble with the government, but it's the churches that fund it and run it.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, it's similar to a charter school, to where they still have to follow a curriculum, a state curriculum and things like that,
Right.
and they can still get in trouble with the state, but it's privately funded and run.
Right.
What I said.
Yeah.
What I said was that should they release the records of the individuals who were involved in these churches, and whether or not those records
You
would
said
show.
accused.
Yeah, I said as in the records revolving around both the nuns and the priests who worked at those churches, those are records that the Catholic Church has not released. Whether or not those people turn out to be pedophiles is something that we can investigate, and whether or not those people will turn out.
Yeah, like I said, the church or school or whatever like that, yeah, they are keeping it from being released, as opposed to if it was a different entity, then it would have already been released. It would have been a part of the process. It's just an extra gate that kept it in, right?
Maybe. I think that's what Lance is responding to right now.
Okay, yeah, because that makes sense.
To be criminals is another thing that we can talk about. The reason why I don't enjoy your particular brand of like pearl clutching when it comes to talking about these issues is that, yes, you did a half decent job at acknowledging, which I was surprised to see, the residential school system and the treatment of Indigenous people. When you twist things around and then you take this as an opportunity to say, and now we need to talk about the real issue, which happens to be these Catholic churches that are burning down, you are then trying to take away from the national conversation, which should be about the treatment of Indigenous people. If I was to compare the treatment of Catholics in Canada to the treatment of Indigenous Canadians, where do you think they would stack up? If I was to compare the treatment of the average white Catholic Canadian to the experience of the average Indigenous Canadian, where do you think we would end up? Who needs more help and who needs more concern right now in terms of the way they're being systemically oppressed?
I wasn't comparing them. I was giving history and context as to why the outrage and conversation was happening in Canada, and then discussing how two wrongs.
Yeah, see, he did it again. Like, both of them have already admitted to there being systemic oppression from the state and through these schools, and that like systemic racism for the Native Americans definitely existed, and that like there was a cultural genocide, and like that like what these schools did was an atrocity. Like, they have admitted all of these things.
Well, this is, yes, exactly. That's why, even though like a lot of people will not understand why, I don't know. It's like she says those things, but that's not the point. Like, their side mention, like Sass said, and it's the same with like, people aren't fucking stupid. Like, all the people that have been around forever having these arguments, you know, they know what they have to say to offset the other thing, you know.
To a point, but I think that you like, especially if she's supposed to be like staying in with these extremist groups, she loses a lot of points if she admits
like,
to any sort of systemic oppression.
But there's not really a future in that. She's trying to rebrand herself as a centrist. Does that mean that she is internally less extreme? Or is she trying to fucking camouflage? No, she is trying to rebrand herself as a centrist.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, because I rebranded as a centrist, and I really was a centrist. So like I've said, I'm really still like, hold on, I said earlier, I'm still like skeptical of whether or not like this is who she really is, but I'm not going to. It's been about a year.
Yeah, no, you don't go from shooting flares at refugees to, you know, being a perfect centrist. Like,
there's no such thing as a perfect centrist.
You think, okay, this is how it, like, you think that because you.
Yes, I know. Everybody says I project myself onto everybody else, but I'm not projecting myself. I'm not saying she really did it. I'm saying that I'm not going to pretend as though she's grifting until I see some evidence of that. In the meantime, I will be skeptical of her and just have this in the back of my mind and mention it every once in a while to say, like, you know, she could still be, you know, this more extreme person just trying to dog whistle or give like a.
No, listen, when you started this back up, you thought that Lance did so bad. You thought this is all so bad, right?
Right.
But you're coming at this from the point of like, you presented it as like undermining Lance's side and extending room to demonstrate where she's going. Like, you're focusing more on her and less on, you know, what they are.
No, I'm not focusing on what or who anybody is. I'm only focusing on what it is they're saying in this video by itself.
Okay, well, but like, okay, so the thing, or I guess maybe it's the balance of value that you place on some things versus another. Like, I think that like you are expecting things from Lance and his partner that you think are required to like sufficiently push back on her to like your satisfaction?
It's not
of,
even
like-
just that. It's that I think that they could actually be coming into this with the correct positions, but nobody who watched this and went into it with a neutral view like I did, where you think like, okay, I have
No, you don't
absolutely
have a
no
neutral-
clue what happened
No,
here.
you don't.
I have absolutely no opinion on any of this stuff. And so I don't, and like I don't like Lauren Southern. So like, if you want to say I don't have a neutral view, like I really don't
You
like
don't have-
Lauren Southern.
You don't have a bias when it comes to the people, but you have like an idea of what a good outcome for this would be, right? For me, and I think for
I want to
the
be
people who
convinced
are-
by their ideas. I want to be convinced
Right,
by their
right,
arguments.
right, but you're, I guess, like the zone in which you like imagine, or I guess maybe like your vantage point of like the things that you are asking or focusing on or looking for.
As a
They're
debate
not-
coach, the things that I'm going to look at and look
Right.
for is the way that they debate.
Okay, right. But like, what is the, okay, so what do you think that the goal here is?
The objective, I would assume, is to show that that Lauren Southern, it doesn't actually care about the indigenous children, that she doesn't actually care about the graves, and that she only cares about the churches and just the churches, and everything else is just background noise.
Well, this is the thing. I think that this is the difference with a strategy when it comes to someone who has who is a part of the conversation. Like Lance is coming from a point of view where it's like he doesn't have to, like, if you're in the position where it is about you and your life and it affects you to some degree versus
Aiko.
like you're talking in what?
You know who you're talking to.
No. Wait, yes. No, why? What? No, I think you're just coming at it like from, I think the way that you, okay,
As
the
an
way you
indigenous
present-
person, as a Native American, as
Fine. No, listen, but you are listen, are you extending the possibility that Lauren may have changed and be worth having in the space?
I'm
Like,
not
is that
that
possibility?
again. That isn't even
that
like part of my
a-
mind frame.
or a
She could have come
world-
into this as a Nazi, and I still would have thought that
No.
she.
No, wait. I mean, like, is there a world in which she could reasonably move forward and be a vital part of the space?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. That's we're in a different we have different goals, I guess, you know? The goal, like, I guess my
point is that I don't believe her, but I'm not writing her off. Like, I'm not saying like
exactly, you're not writing her off, and that's the difference, because I write her off 1,000 times, or how about one for every person that she is like actively hurt with fueling the rhetoric that she has over the course of her career and now. And considering that I do not think that she is actually like, unless I missed something, I don't think that she is like completely disowned her previous positions, right? Like, she hasn't come out and been like, I was wrong about this and that, whatever. And I mean, hey, you'll see how she behaves when he brings up the flares thing.
Canadian here. Lance was bad faith AF and was cluelessly woke. Yeah, that's
With a
my
capital
perspective.
W.
Yes, that is my perspective as well. As he went into this, appreciate you joining us, Finch. Yeah, like he came into this with absolutely no information on what it was that he was talking about. He came into this with a whole lot of feelings about Lauren Southern and her video,
Right.
and that was
She's
it.
literally a fucking white nationalist.
No,
She
she
thinks
has
these
condemned
people-
those things though, and she has condemned
Has
all the
she
people.
done?
Yes, she
Oh,
she put
really?
out a video like a year ago, and she has been fighting with all of those people very publicly, like very, very publicly. They've all disowned her. She has disowned them. They have all had these very public fights back and forth to where even Sargon of Akkad is too far right for her now. Like. This is, I feel as though, like, as again, I am skeptical, but as far as what she's doing, she is taking all of the right steps to get there.
You know what? Honestly, I feel like.
But even if she had a swastika tattoo on her chest right now, I still think she would be owning Lance and his partner in this debate.
Yeah, but we see it as a different thing, right? I personally do not think that
you see this as a symbol instead of Todd freaking Packard. She is not, dude.
What do you mean? Are you saying, okay, she was never a white nationalist, or she isn't now?
I would say that she isn't now. Like
she was.
Yes, she definitely was. She was all right. She was a Nazi.
That you have to go a little bit further. You don't get to just be like, oh, I'm shaking that off now. That's not what I am anymore. Like that's something that like 90%. I don't know. If you think that like shooting flares in people's faces. Are you talking about the old Lauren Southern? Because if you're talking about like, since, you know, the person in chat, like if you mean like in general for this time, because, hey, you know what? This is exactly what happens. Like if you act like, hey, you know what? If she really changed, she should probably fucking work to prove it. Why are we going to just like, I mean, when I say we, never mind. There isn't really a we. I'm on the side of like trying to mitigate.
To you, this is symbolic. To you, this is symbolic, and to me,
I don't think there's
like
a worthwhile exchange of ideas with Lauren Southern in the conversation. I personally think, like, if you were ever like a white nationalist or a Nazi or something like that, you should just go a little longer than like half the pandemic. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like,
okay. So, like, yes. To me, and I feel like to most people who came into this debate wanting to like listen to an exchange of ideas and facts and information, they see this as Lauren and CounterPoints slaughtering the Serfs and his partner. Other people who came into this debate in bad faith and said, well, no matter what Lauren does, she already lost because I don't like her, then like, yeah, sure. Like that, I guess if that's the perspective, then like there's nothing she could do to look good in this debate in any way.
What I'm more curious about, I think, why is CounterPoints like, what is he doing? Why is he
like I said,
like,
there's a position that him and Lauren took that is a reasonable position, and they argue it very well, and they make Lance's position or lack of position look ridiculous in this. They come out looking like the smart, reasonable people who are correct.
Right. I mean, you didn't finish it yet. You're like halfway through.
Sure.
So hold on.
So far.
But what I'm saying, yeah, so far, that's fine. And then we can just it just depends on, yeah, you are looking for different things than I am from an exchange like this, which is
again
fine.
As a debate coach, I'm
Right.
going to look at the debate.
Really care about like the the exchange of ideas as far as like reaching a higher discourse. I'm more like, hey, let's try to like, I don't know, not spawn, or I don't know, what do you call it when like fungus releases spores or something, whatever.
I don't know.
I just don't want it to spread more. I don't know, but it's going to.
So far, the optics are horrible for Lance, and even worse for his partner. Like, I feel like his partner should just be taken out back. All right.
No, I'm just curious as to why counterpoints, like how he's not Canadian, right?
Right. So he said at the beginning, he's like, I hold my own views. I'm not connected to Lauren in any way, and like I'm here just to argue my own opinions. So
I guess I just don't know what the entire actual debate from his perspective is. Never mind. I don't think you got this part yet. Never mind.
It's that you shouldn't call these things mass graves, as though they just lined up a bunch of people and shot them into a hole, like hundreds of people at once. And two, that like the burning of churches actually does matter. It's not as though we can say like, well, an eye for an eye, bunch of kids died, so let's go burn down a bunch of churches now.
Wait, Counterpoints was in Lauren's documentary of what? Do you know what they're talking about?
She's done a lot of documentaries, so I'm not sure. Tom Lance said burning.
Yeah, and said the burning was bad.
I didn't say he didn't.
Did he say that there was a mass grave? I don't even know.
Yeah, that's what like started all of this, is he kept using the rhetoric mass graves. And
don't make a right.
And that's the result of what you do. Because when you set those terms up, when you put them in that context, when you make those kind of videos, when you just ask questions, that's what ends up happening. And whether you're doing it consciously, I'm not sure. I don't know if you're doing it consciously or perhaps you're doing it unconsciously. I'm not sure, but that is the end result of your work. And when you make those kind of videos.
What is?
When you juxtapose two things like that, two opposing ideas, you set them up on the same terms, you make videos about them, and then suddenly it's going to be justifiable to think, well, the moral outrage should shift from this horrifying atrocity that has occurred and is still ongoing to Indigenous Canadians into we should now talk about Catholic churches and the burning of them down. That is the problem with your particular brand of content.
I think, and I guess it's maybe just my audience, but my audience have the ability to juggle two ideas at the same time. I can explain past atrocities and then say, here's also a present atrocity happening, and they can say, wow, those are both bad things. Like, I don't know about your audience, but my audience can juggle two things at the same time without an issue.
And it's with...
Yeah, Todd, we already got past that part where his partner's like, I don't know, maybe they knocked over a candle inside the church on accident, and it just burnt down the entire church. I don't know. That's a possibility. We have no clue.
I don't think that he was okay. You know what? I think that, I mean, I don't know this person at all, so this I could be wrong. But I was taking it as like, you know, before initially, like they wanted to know like every little detail of like, oh, how many graves, like how did they die? Were they shot in the face? Were they smothered in their sleep? Like were they, you know what I mean? Like they wanted to be able to gauge, like I don't know if Counterpoint said this or not, where he like brought his son into this. He's like, I'm like basically needing to, they want to gauge the level of reaction, I guess, like of moral, like of rage. And that's, which is a part of the problem. So I don't know, they get very sensitive about, I think that it's obvious to me, like at least, let's say like at least one of however many church burnings, like at least one of them got burned down from you know, accidents. Shit burns down all the time by accident.
Sure.
Which doesn't mean that church burnings aren't like actually happening for this or that reason. But the fact that, you know, some of them might not be by the people that are burning it.
Sure.
Super triggered Lauren, at least. And it's like, it's a little bit like,
it's not that, no, it's the bad faith way that they're that they're attempting to make those arguments where they act as though there's a trend of churches burning, and maybe all of them just happen to knock over some incense. We don't know.
No. That's not what they said. They didn't say all of them, but I think it makes it. It brings.
He was talking about all of them.
No. I mean, I would have to see that part again, but like, I don't. I mean, I remember at the time, like thinking that, you know, it's more like chipping away at the amount of moral outrage that someone can have. You know what I mean? Like it just kind of flipped in when it came to like, oh, some of those all like versus 100 church burnings having been done by some people, like only 75 of them are actually done by people, and the other 25 were accidents. Like that's kind of what it like to me, is that they were taking away the fuel for like Lauren and CounterPoints moral.
But that wouldn't actually do anything. Outrage. And even when CounterPoints pushed back and said like, oh, so it just so happens that all of these churches burned down around the same time, and there's a trend of it. And he responded with, well, that's just your problem to have.
You see that though? It's they were playing this at them at this point, because that's how they started. Remember? They kept trying to gauge like exactly how the kids die, how many kids died. Do we know what those graves are? How how are they? Even later on in this, Lauren says that, oh no, they are individual, and then they bring it up like, oh wait, I thought you said that we can't even tell what's down there, so how do you know that they're individual graves down there?
She said that it's most likely human bodies. Like she did say that. She said like, we can't tell what they are, but it is most likely human bodies.
As you start, but the point is that they want to be able to judge moral, right? Because it's about like moral outrage, right? That's what they were like kind of testing for, right? That's the reason why they want to know exactly how much and how they died.
Yes,
and what,
okay.
Right?
Sassafras,
right,
the reason that that matters is because they don't know that it's a bunch of kids. They don't know that. And the people who went and like found all of these signs of people under the ground even said, we don't know if these are just like, if this is an old grave site or an old burial site or something. We don't know. But the evidence leads us to believe that it's most likely some sort of misbehavior from the schools to where these children ended up dying and they just buried them here, but they don't know. And it's not like, oh, it's like a 90% likelihood and we're just not sure. No, it's like we see signs of it, but we don't really have evidence to know that that's what we're even looking at.
So what's the what is the problem that Lauren has? They also don't know why each church was burned. Like,
yes, but again, the churches burning are like the rise of the churches burning aligns with other things. And they never said that we know who is burning these churches. They never said that. Like that claim was never made by them.
There's this wouldn't even be happening if they didn't make a connection to it, if they weren't saying there was a connection.
Right, and it's the same with the kids, but Lauren and CounterPoints are actually saying, we believe these are bodies. We believe these are most likely bodies.
And they're trying to temper the reaction coming from the other side, right? Like, that's what they're saying.
No, because they straight up say like, we believe an atrocity happened and took place at these schools, and that like there was a massive amount of mismanagement, and that like, you know, these people did horrible things and they should be treated in horrible ways for doing these horrible things. Like they say all of these things, like,
Okay. What's their, but like to what end exactly?
We don't know because Lance and his partner aren't arguing against them. They're not actually like going against them.
You'll see later, I guess. But
okay.
Just think of it as like, I don't know, think of it in terms of like, remember what they were being asked earlier versus like when they ask the same things back to them now. So yeah, go ahead.
Because by doing that, by pushing that narrative, they will be forced then to look at that and be like, well, you know what? I was a little bit upset about what was happening to Indigenous people, but I should be a lot more upset now at the Catholic churches that are burning down because you've said.
So we shouldn't talk about the Catholic churches because it takes away from Indigenous issues.
You can talk about the Catholic churches. You should not juxtapose the two of them as if one is now going to be able to justify or accuse the other of being wrong.
That's not what I did, though. So how should I have made my video? Because what I did was I said, this is what happened at Indigenous residential schools. This is why it was bad. No.
Yeah, Todd, we're gonna go look at a bunch of different people's reactions to this because I purposefully stayed away from everybody else's reactions so I could have my own. And my own so far has been Lance and his partner are like probably the worst human beings on
in the
earth.
Battlefield of idea.
Yeah, that's what. Yep, that's it.
Not a good thing. And then also there's this not a great thing happening today, and both things are bad, and we need to talk about it because it's happening right now. How should I have done that video differently? I feel like you're nitpicking and trying to find a problem with me because you didn't actually have an issue with that video, which is why you made up your issue in your response, which is that I was blaming natives, which I never did. Otherwise, you would have had an actual critique in your initial video.
Oh, I can answer that question quite easily.
Oh,
the information, I find it interesting that we've just glossed past the fact that these church burnings have actually been happening since long before the news was released. But in scouring through the information over the last, probably 2 years, trying to find church burnings, causes, whether or not there were investigations performed, I found one that was particularly funny to me, which was, it was a church that has burned in the same spot 3 separate times over the last 50 years. And it turned out that it was the area where the priests keep the incense and the anointing oil, because for some reason, I don't know why, this particular group of priests is just not aware that you probably shouldn't have an open flame next to flammable oil. And so this is the 5th time that the fire department has been called out. So I would have liked to see you discuss, for example, why it is that Canadian churches seem to be exempt from fire codes or be aware that fire extinguishers have been invented.
This guy is such a freaking piece of crap, dude. He is such a piece of crap, dude. Okay, one church.
Is that not true?
One church maybe didn't have, ill intent. So, like, let's stop talking about the churches now, because one of them.
No. But is that true though?
Yeah, sure.
Is what he said true?
Sure, maybe. It doesn't matter. Nobody cares.
Yeah, no.
It's not relevant. It's not relevant in any way whatsoever.
Why isn't it relevant?
Why would it be relevant?
Less churches. If there's a little bit, like, so he didn't say that all of them aren't.
Right. One less. No, but this is a different thing. But yes, one less church. Okay, one less.
Or let's just say 3 less, right? Right. So
he made a claim about one church.
No, he
said this one church has been burnt down 3 times over the last 50 years.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So. What about the rate of church burnings? Did we look at that already?
Like Connor and Lauren never made a claim about like a specific amount of churches.
Right. But now, I mean, like how, like the, I don't know, what are the average church burnings or something?
I don't know. They haven't.
I think that's like pretty relevant. Like before you say that this person's a piece of crap, because if it's true that there's been an uptick. No, hold on. If it's true that there's been an uptick since before any of this information was released, right? Mm-hmm. That means that it could very easily not be tied to Indigenous
It wasn't an uptick. There were church burnings before this news came out. Once the news came out, then we had the uptick. Yeah,
so you looked it up, right?
Yes, and even if I didn't, that is their claim. He's not arguing against their claim. That's what matters.
Wait, what? No. We're talking about the thing as a whole, right? Like, they come in and they're asking questions and they are giving examples for a reason, right? So if all right, so you already looked it up, and you said that the church burnings, you did look it up, right?
I did, yes, but I looked it up like
Okay.
a month ago.
Oh, when did this come out? What they're talking about?
Like a month ago.
Okay, so you looked it up when
We went over it on stream.
Okay. Okay. But what I'm saying is that if what he's saying is true, then it shouldn't bother them, right? If
It's not. No, it's not about. No. I
No
can
what?
say that, like, you know, I can just randomly bring up that, like, Shaq has an 11-inch dong, right? Well, it's true. It's true. So, like, I can bring it up now. Like, no, it's not relevant to the actual conversation. It doesn't, because unless I say that Shaq has a 9-inch dong, then there's no reason to bring up an 11-inch dong. Nobody made a claim about a specific amount of churches, and nobody said that specific church definitely got burned down by arsonists. Nobody said that. So for him to make a claim about one specific church, unless he's going to go on down the list, making claims about each and every church.
Some of them might not have. Some of them that are attributed to arson may not have been.
And
okay,
that's
so
fine.
what's wrong with that?
Nothing. They said that.
Okay, so what's wrong with what he said?
He's not arguing against anybody. It's irrelevant.
No, it's not, because he's building a larger case.
A larger case to agree with them.
No, to see how they respond to this information. If they respond to the potential, I guess, like the potential, like, oh, that maybe this started before this news was, maybe this was already on the rise and it doesn't coincide with this information being released. And if they are very resistant to that, then maybe there's something where they are particularly married to the narrative of it being specifically indigenous activists, you know?
Yes, again, like that, they already made that concession early on that, like, they don't know which churches were
But if they react like this, if they are emotional about this,
no, this guy's a piece of crap.
Okay, Tom, do you understand that you are being kind of emotional about this right now?
No, what's making me emotional is that this guy is so bad faith that he is refusing to engage in the conversation. I don't know him. I have absolutely no opinion of him outside of this conversation. And it's him in this conversation that is making me not like him.
I mean, counterpoints kind of made me not love him, like, based on some of what he said in this, and I didn't have any opinions prior. Like, it's just, I can understand. It's just like a profile picture. It's just, you don't like them. That's fine. It's fine. But what I want to say is that, like, it's not irrelevant. It's gauging how married they are. Like, they can say that they're open to it being from other causes, but if they are resistant to letting facts draw them to a different conclusion other than it being, like, related to the indigenous stuff, then there's obviously something more there, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. You just don't like him. Okay, cool.
Okay.
That's fascinating, Tale. So your current assertion is that all the fucking churches that burned down in Canada over the past 2 years was accidental, and Catholic priests, on top of being fucking pedos and fucking Native American beaters, are fucking dog shit at fucking fire safety. That's what you want to contribute to this fucking conversation right now?
I'm contributing to you the facts as they stand. If you have a problem with the facts as they stand, that's your problem.
I have problems with the fucking facts because you keep doing this meta conversation bullshit that has fucking nothing to do with what's going on. So tell me, because I am frustrated with you. What the fuck did you just add to the conversation by saying that maybe Catholic priests are accidentally burning down their own churches? Is that a serious contention that Lauren and I are supposed to take on earnestly? Do you think that we need to go back to fucking google.com right now and be real quick and, like, be like, hey, what's the fucking fire codes of the fucking Vatican? Do they put out fucking fire safety briefs for the priests? Like, what the fuck am I supposed to research with that information?
Somebody's
Are you
mad.
asking
Because
me for tips?
this
No, I'm
guy's
not,
a
because I know
piece
you're
of crap.
shitposting and you're being an asshole for no fucking reason. Contribute to the fucking conversation or
Yeah.
don't.
I'm identifying
shit.
that church fires
I was taken aback,
preceded
though.
any announcement of these graves.
Yeah, see, if that guy's claim is false, then
It doesn't
he's a
matter.
piece of
It's
shit.
not relevant. No, it's
No,
not
it
relevant
is.
whatsoever.
It
It is not.
It
It just
You know
isn't.
why? You know why it is relevant?
You've already
Because
gone
it
over
would
this,
mean
and
that
you're
it might not have been connected to the indigenous
they
stuff.
already
It might
admitted
not-
that.
Okay, but that doesn't mean that they're not still trying to go in that direction.
Aiko,
Why would
no,
they be
they
so
aren't.
resistant?
They aren't. The
How do you
problem
know?
is because they haven't made any of those claims. He and
Yet-
Lance keep arguing against things
Why
that they're
would you
not
think-
saying.
Oh my God! The topic is literally about the connection between the two, right? This is what it's about, right?
Not yet. They haven't like.
Look at the title.
Yes, I understand. Like, they haven't even gotten that far because they're still trying to get Lance and his partner to make some claims here so that they can argue against them.
Why
But
are you mad that they're not playing by like their rules so that they can
it's
do
not
the same old
their
shit?
rules. They agreed to join a debate, and actually Lance was the one who wanted this debate, but
No.
has not debated.
Yeah, who cares about the debating part? The idea is to shut down. Okay, listen. Lance has a real world motivation to shut down her looking, the way that like people say, like, if you're gonna debate some, I'm not saying she's presently a Nazi, but when you debate someone that's a Nazi or a Groiper or something, you try to just like make them look stupid, make their ideas look ridiculous, right? Like, or show them being like, discredit them somehow.
Sure.
Lauren being visibly emotionally like attached to the narrative of it being indigenous activists, having a connect, like, or the death being connected to church burnings when there isn't actually like a proven link.
Okay.
That's relevant.
Again, they've already
Just
conceded that. The point is, like, if I was them, I probably would have left this debate like half an hour ago.
You can imagine yourself on that side of the debate, though. You're imagining yourself as your good faith self over there, and that's not you. You're not Lauren, right?
I
You haven't done the things that she's done,
but
and
they're also pointing these things at counterpoints and arguing against things that he's
Be
also
there.
not saying.
okay, but he chose to be there on the side of like he's
Of facts and logic, according to
No,
himself. Like, he's on the side of
Lauren-
facts and logic. He's not on the side of Lauren Southern.
He's also, well, it doesn't matter. This is very much like how it works, right?
No.
Well-meaning people who want to just go by the book and see who is like actually like, oh, wait your turn to say what's right. Meanwhile, it's like if there are fucking people pushing a narrative that maybe it's indigenous people that are burning churches down, that fosters hate. Do you know? So she has a big platform. She's fostering hate. Okay, let's just say, we know that making connections that might not be there leads to potential hate, right?
Mhm.
So if she is actively doing this, just making her look, like revealing her emotion, like investment, masking her off is like the best thing that you could really do. Taking her seriously in the battle of ideas is not like the most effective way to discredit someone.
Okay.
So I don't know why you would hold.
I gotta play the
I'm so-
video. I'm just telling
Okay,
you,
go ahead.
I have been 1,000 times more emotional than they have been watching the first half of this because of how
I know.
bad faith they've been the entire time. I
Don't you
I
understand you
will
have a different
praise
goal?
Lauren and counterpoints for the way they've kept their cool this entire time, and I think that anybody who watches this will think, wow, their outrage is justified. I can't believe they kept their cool for so long.
All right. That's fine.
And your assertion repeatedly is that there is some sort of...
So hold the fuck up. So if I take a look...
Wait.
What the fuck are you taking my ball?
Connor, because I gotta let him at least finish if you want to respond to
That
him.
is complicated.
Tail, please finish.
I think Connor might need to take a break.
But
But
do you want to finish? Okay.
I do this all the time, buddy.
I'm perfectly fine. I'm good. You may proceed.
What?
It's obviously very important to you.
It
Okay,
is.
Connor, you can go on.
See, thank you for the dog bowl, Dylan. Ding, ding. So fucking... All right. So you said that these church burnings happened in the past as well. If I was to Google church burnings and look at it statistically, do you think I would see an increase over the past 2 years?
I have absolutely no idea.
Then what the fuck are you talking about?
I would say probably. And come on, you don't have to be condescending in every single response you do to Tail. Come on. I mean,
Then
if
I
you
want
don't,
Tail to say something real.
I did. Connor, I said something real.
Okay, you said that
One of the
Catholic
church fires
priests are
was-
burning down their own churches by being assholes and putting incense in the wrong spot. That's what I heard.
If you
Is that
have
your
a
real
problem with
contribution to this conversation?
If you have a problem with that
assholes.
fact, it is your problem to have.
It's your
I guess I
problem
have a
to
problem with that
have.
fact.
I mean,
Well, then
yeah.
that's your problem to have.
Okay.
Question: Are Catholic priests also putting paint on the front of their churches and beheading their statues? Paint that says "Fight for," X progressive cause. I've literally seen the serfs tweeting out stuff that says, we were just indigenous children. Are the Catholic priests putting that up on their church walls? Are they the ones doing that graffiti? That's been an exponential growth the last few months.
I'm more than willing to acknowledge that there's plenty of things that have been happening over the last 3 or 5 or 10 years that could be charted in any number of conceivable ways. But you haven't
What the
actually
heck
addressed
does
what
that
I
even
said,
mean?
which was
say it
again.
these fires preceded the news.
Okay. Here, let me break this down for you really quickly. I was a former law enforcement officer, okay? We investigate things. When something picks up in a certain pattern, let's say that there's like one burglary in one area, and then it's just one burglary and then it happens. Okay, well, burglary happens, we try to investigate it. If we don't figure it out, then okay, whatever. If 20 burglaries occur in the same area within a month, there's probably a reason for it, so you can investigate it. And what I'm doing right now is I'm doing 1 + 1 = 2, and you're saying 1 is maybe a 0.5, so maybe it doesn't equal 2. And I have no idea what this adds to the conversation, because we're literally light years ahead of where you're
want
going.
to say this is not adding much to the conversation. Could we get back to the topic away from the fire incense theory?
Sure. Can I? Okay, I would like to ask a question from the serfs, because basically I'm sure he could educate us, and then we could have some contention.
Oh, Connor,
Yeah,
let me
okay.
ask. I just
Okay,
want to
woman
really
explains
I'm willing to concede that fires happened before all these fires that happen now, and maybe it's just the fires continuing. But assault and rape existed before the residential schools, so you never know. All right, Connor, go ahead.
no, I can address that again.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, no, but again, assault and rape can exist before the residential schools, but these were forced upon the children. That's a huge difference.
It's almost like the context is different, right? Okay, go
yeah,
on.
and again, the same thing like CounterPoints brought up, right? He said there's rape that exists everywhere in society. It does. If you were forcing children to be in these institutions where 1 in 5 of them was getting sexually assaulted, then that is on you. That is on the Catholic Church. That is on the government of Canada.
Wow, he missed her entire point. He completely missed it.
What?
They're saying
Can you
like
explain?
churches got burnt down all the time before this happened. So like, it's just a thing that happens. And they're saying, okay, fine. Well, if that's the route you want to take, then people got
that's
raped
like
and
insane.
killed all the time. So like it happened before this, it happened after this. So like, there you go. Like if that's your line of logic, then we'll use that
That's
for
what
your
they
stuff
said.
too.
Well, that's what they said, and then, well,
And now
Wait,
he's
when
he's
did
saying,
when?
well, no, I can explain why this matters because of the context that shows that all of these kids are in this school. They're being forced to go there and then raped and murdered. And they're like, yeah, duh. That's the point, is that there's context that adds to why these buildings are getting burnt down. That like,
so they are right, but that, which means that they are attached to the idea that indigenous people are the ones that are burning them down, right?
no,
Or am I
not indigenous people, just some sort of activist group, most likely.
Based on that,
Yeah.
based on indigenous stuff.
Yes.
Okay, but that hasn't been proven.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So then, but pushing that narrative when it's not been proven is probably bad, right? If you are being like, oh, it's like most likely these people, like this is their reaction
You
when
can
they are
do that, but it's a bad route to go when they're already conceding that like nobody knows if there's actually children's bodies in the ground. Like we can't know for sure, but we're going to assume it is because that's the most likely thing that is buried there. Everybody has agreed on that. So if they turn around and start saying, well, you can't prove that it's an activist group that's burning down these buildings, then they can turn around and say, okay, well, you can't prove that there's any bodies in the ground. So done.
That's not how that works, though.
That is how it works. If you're going to use that line of logic for one, they're going to use the same line of logic for the other.
Yeah, but they're the ones that are getting mad.
Yes, because they're being bad faith. Because Lance and his buddy are not responding to anything they're saying. They're in a completely different conversation.
Set aside the, I guess, set this aside for a second. So,
yeah, this is on the Serfs.
Do you think that?
Sorry, I was talking in the chat.
Do you think that it is bad to be pushing the narrative right now that it's definitely indigenous? It's definitely because of the indigenous stuff that's come out. Is why, like that's.
No, I think
the way that they're like.
I think it's by far the most likely thing.
Okay, so like we should just like go with that. Keep bringing it up and just like saying, if you say that it's probably true, it's the same thing pretty much as saying like that's what's going on. It's like we can't prove it yet, but
yeah, sure.
We all know, right?
Sure. So again, we can go back to the other thing and say we don't know for sure that there are actually bodies under the ground. So like we shouldn't move forward assuming that there are actually bodies under the ground. But no, if we're acting in good faith, we should say yes, there are most likely bodies under the ground.
Right, but there's a difference, which is like there is actual harm to put like going with the narrative that it is the churches are directly connected to like indigenous people, like making that link that we all know can or does fuel hate. Like that is
so let me ask you this. If we go ahead and assume that those are bodies under the ground, and we think that like this is leading to people burning down churches and things like that, then we probably shouldn't go ahead and assume that there are bodies under the ground because it is fueling the hate.
But I thought that we do know some of them are, at least, right?
No, we don't know that any of them are. All? Yes, like really? So the thing that they use, all it does is find anomalies in the soil. And it could be like literally like massive rocks. It could be all sorts of things, like literally. But they are assuming because of the way that they're looking at it, the patterns there, that it is most likely a lot of bodies. They don't know how many. Their assumption is somewhere around 500, but it could be anywhere from 150 to 500. And they don't know how long they've been there either. Like, this could have been an old indigenous burial ground.
Have you looked since?
Huh?
Since a month? Have you looked, you said you looked a month ago?
Yes, we went over all of this stuff about a month ago because Sassafras was talking about it in the chat.
Hundreds more. So this is New York Times on updated July 30th. The remains of as many as 751 people, mainly indigenous children, were found at the site of a former school in the province of Saskatchewan. An indigenous group said on Thursday. The burial site, largest one to date, was uncovered only weeks after the remains of 215 children were found in unmarked graves on the ground. of
Sassafras,
another
I'm not giving her
former
credit.
church
I'm
run
only
school for
going by
Indigenous
what
students
she's
in British
saying.
Columbia.
That's it. That's
So
what I keep
this is
saying.
the New York Times.
Yes, so that's that said 150. Like I said, we know that it's
751. Like as is what it says. As many as 751. What was Thursday? What day was Thursday? This was updated July 30th.
so yeah, that was Monday.
July 30th.
Or wait, no, it wasn't.
No, it was Friday, so the day before. So the 29th. So if you haven't looked in the past month, then you wouldn't know that.
Wait,
So
but
I
wait.
think the question-
When were those found though? Like that being that
It was
article
found
coming out then.
Thursday. This is I'm sorry, not I mean the Thursday before that, which is the what day?
What?
The 29th. The July 29th.
You're saying that this is when
Wait,
the
I'll just
bot.
freaking wait. Here, where do I
Just put it in
a
the chat.
thing? Can I put it in the regular chat?
Yeah.
Okay. You have a lot of like people who are worried about white people.
Yeah.
And
We
I'm
like white
sorry.
people.
Enjoy your time before it's over.
I don't
Oh
see.
wait, are you changing your tune? What?
I don't see where you put it. I don't see it
What?
in chat.
In the regular.
Oh, that's right. You can't put it in chat. Okay, just put it in VC text.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I forgot. Nobody can put links in my chat for some
All right,
reason.
there you go. Enjoy your final summer, Beller.
No more white people after this summer. That's why it's
Yeah,
white boy
weird.
summer.
Kind of weird how like Cynical Finch is like, well, conveniently they didn't mention that they weren't one big mound. They found all those individually spaced out. Okay.
Well, that's like the
It's
issue with
like-
the with calling it a mass grave. I can't pull it up.
What?
Yeah,
What do you mean?
it's behind a paywall.
What the fuck? Oh my god. Okay.
It
Wait,
depends
can I
on how
mirror-
many times that you've shown the New York Times or looked at the New York Times over a
Wait,
certain
hold
amount of
on.
time.
Let me try to share. I'm gonna share my screen.
Why were you malding all night, Sam?
In the wait.
Sass, that's not all that matters. There's a lot of other things that matter. That's not
Can you
all that
see?
matters.
Can you see anything? Can you see?
Yes.
Oh wait, hold on. Tell me when to go down.
Hold on. Give me just a second. I'm pulling it up on the string. Okay. Get that thing out the way and
Yeah. Like, yeah, true. Yeah.
Sass. Or I mean, Aiko.
What?
Get the chat out of the way.
Ready? Oh, sorry. I forgot that I was sharing full screen.
Okay.
I'll just pull up a dick pic.
For decades,
okay.
the indigenous children were taken away from their families, sometimes forced by the houses crowded and run in boarding schools. They were abused and prohibited from speaking their languages. Thousands vanished together. Now, a new discovery offers
I'm gonna
chilling
pull it down.
evidence that many of the missing children may have died at these schools. The remains of as many as 751 people, mainly indigenous children, were found at the site of a former school in the province of Saskatchewan. An indigenous group said on Thursday the burial site The largest one to date was uncovered only weeks after the remains of 250 children were found in unmarked graves on the grounds of another former church-run school for Indigenous students in British Columbia. So wait, these are two different schools then.
Right. This is yeah.
So they're talking about a specific one. Yeah,
What?
there have been
They are?
Yeah,
I don't think that they. Well, if they're talking about any of them, it was probably this one. Right?
Her video's from a month ago. The one that he came to debate her on.
Right, but hey, there's new info, so don't you think we'd be going off of this?
Well, no, not if that's not part of this specific school, because they're talking about that specific school.
Why? Why would you not? I mean, if you're talking about a place that you may or that new information has come out, right? Like why would you debate based on the old information where we don't know what is in there?
Again, because they're two different places. So, like, if churches are getting burnt around the school that they're talking about, and
can you tell me which place they are talking about?
I don't know exactly.
What?
Hold on.
I imagine then it's probably the 215, right?
Yeah, maybe. Sassafras, do you know? Okay.
Is it this one, Kamloops?
Oh yeah, Kamloops. Yep, that's the one that.
Okay. 215. So obviously we know now, right?
I don't know.
Do you want to ask yourself why maybe you didn't like look this up
again?
In the
because
past month?
What do you mean?
Especially if it's an ongoing thing, right? Like, wouldn't you want to know what the most recent information, like at least up to the time when they had this debate, was?
I don't. Wait, hold on. I don't do news.
Right. No. But they're having a debate based on. I mean, I thought they were just having a debate based on like the situation that's happening in Canada. Like, because, obviously this conversation just happened and her video was like a month ago. They're not going to just talk about whatever her video was.
Yeah, they were talking about her video.
Right, but you talk about the video, but there's new information. So it's not like they're just talking about what they're like still going based off of that, right?
Yeah, if the contention is with her video, then they're going to talk about what's in her video.
Right. But what I'm saying is, doesn't that change the context of this a little bit if they know for a fact?
I don't know. Did they dig up the bodies? Like, I know that they're saying it as though it's a fact, but I know that they said initially that as though it was a fact. This is the New York
Times. I mean, they're saying like that there were X amount of graves.
I don't know. Again, like...
No, but this is important.
Why?
I think that it's because don't you think that like it would have made sense that if you were completely neutral that you would have like just have I mean, like, it didn't occur to you to look up whether or not what he was saying was true or not. You just went off the fact that like the old information from a month ago, right? Like,
yeah, we're going off what they're saying in the debate, correct?
No, right, but you are looking at what the tail person said through the lens of information from a month ago. I don't know why you would think that would be the most
debate
up-to-date
just
information.
Happened. Huh? The debate just happened.
I know. So why are you judging it through like, why are you assuming that he's just lying instead of having like more information now?
Wait, I'm not. I'm going off the information that they've given in the debate.
I know, but but he's saying that they're facts. and no one's challenging his actual facts.
Which ones?
The ones where it's because I didn't realize that you thought that we didn't know if they were bodies or not.
Wait, but he didn't say that.
Wait, what?
The tail guy, he didn't say that.
He didn't say what?
That it's that like we know for sure how many people are down how many people were buried there.
No, not how many, but that they are people. They are people, and that.
But they all agreed on that, so it didn't matter.
Yeah, but no, I'm asking you. Why were you very quick to? I mean, like my first instinct was to just like look up what we knew or not, just to see if he was telling the truth or not. Because if he's lying about one thing, then I would look at everything else that he said suspiciously, whether I agreed with where he was going or not. But you decided that you didn't trust anything that this person said, and you didn't know if they were lying or not.
No, wait.
And you also
I didn't say that.
What?
I didn't say.
Didn't you say he was lying?
No, I wasn't saying he was lying. He keeps misrepresenting what they're saying.
What?
He's misrepresenting what they're saying. He's saying that he's making arguments that they don't disagree with.
Right, but if just go to just go back to like whatever made Connor freak out. That just happened, right?
Yes,
Connor,
that was him talking about the church that had been burnt down 3 times in 50 years, and that it turned out that they weren't following fire safety codes.
Right.
That's what he said.
Those are things that are true, right?
Right. Nobody disagrees with that.
Hey, right. But there's a reason why he's getting so worked up about it.
No, don't. Aiko, my goodness.
What? No, I'm saying, like, why would he be getting
because
so
it's irrelevant to the conversation. We just went over this for like 15 minutes. It's not relevant in any way, shape, or form.
That is not true. Why would... Okay. The only thing that it does is potentially lessen the amount of things they can attribute to intentional fires, right? Wherever they're coming from.
He said one church, and even if that's true, it doesn't matter. His overall point was that these churches should be held to a higher standard to follow fire safety code. That was his point.
No,
that's literally what he said.
No, that was I feel like that was being a bit bitchy. Like, you know what I mean? Like that he wasn't saying that in like right, but why are you expecting these people to like to be like kind and polite and stuff just because I don't know, that's usually how it goes when someone's in good faith. They waste a lot of energy trying to like be excellent faith to people who are presenting things with the veneer of just having a good old honest debate with facts and logic and reason. I think that, it makes sense to just present them with things that might trigger them and see what happens, and then there they go.
But that's literally being bad faith. Like, you are literally bad faith.
No, because listen, if it doesn't bother, if you were really just trying to like deal with reality, then the fact that some of them actually, this is what I noticed. I didn't get to actually looking at how many burnings there's been like compared to previous years. That's like, I wanted to look up the timeline, but I saw this before. And so if he's telling the truth that there isn't really like, if the numbers don't align with, like this release of information, then that
he didn't say that though. He didn't say that.
No, I know he didn't say that. So he's not saying that none of them were, but maybe that's not the main reason that they're burning down, right? So they are trying to present it as they are open to it being other things, when in reality, maybe they're not as open as they thought they were.
No.
Does that make sense at all?
No. No. Not if you're only talking about one church. That doesn't mean anything. It means nothing. It means absolutely nothing when we're talking about 50-something churches and you bring up one church. Nobody cares. Okay, fine. That church doesn't count anymore. This didn't change anything. It changed absolutely nothing.
Wait, but what about the entire beginning where they were pointing out, wanting to know all the details about every single, what was found here? Were they shot in the head? Was this person was it an accident? That kind of thing.
They were saying that we should find that information. Yes, that we should know that information when we're making these claims. True.
Yes. Okay. We should also know how many churches were burned down by arson versus accident, right?
See, yes. See, now you're doing it. You're taking the same line of logic and applying it to what they're doing. And that's what they are doing to Lance and Tail, is they're saying, okay, you guys are using this line of logic. Okay, well then we're going to apply it to what you're saying. And they're getting upset about it.
Right, but why are they getting upset about it?
Because Lance and Tail are stupid. And so they're getting upset because they don't understand simple words.
Come on.
That's why Lance and Tail are getting upset, because they don't understand things.
Same thing they are presenting. Okay, first of all, I think that you're compromised because, like I said, you didn't to verify whether or not
it's not relevant.
What they were saying. True. No, that is relevant.
It's not relevant as to whether or not Aiko. Man, please listen to me. I've said this over and over. You're not hearing me. It is not relevant as to whether or not they argued this correctly. It is not relevant as to whether or not they did a good job in this debate. I do not need to go find the other information that Lance and Tail did not present to know whether or not they did a good job in this debate.
Are you grading them based on how they executed it technically?
Well, normally rhetorically, but also yes,
the methods in which like a ballet. I don't know.
Yeah, technique, the way that you apply your arguments, the way that you address the other's arguments, the rhetoric that you use to be more convincing, the directions that you move the conversation.
I got you, and I get why you are frustrated, because you are looking at it from the point of view of like we're taking the debate part seriously, when that's not the goal of Lance and Tail.
Right, they are bad faith. Right. This is everybody's issue, is that they are bad faith.
Actually, you could probably say that they're bad faith, but they accomplished what they were trying to do.
Okay,
so,
maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think they should have audiences anymore.
Oh my God, you're very triggered by this.
Yes.
Why are you so much more willing to give to make sure that people who are Nazis have a you even said Mio should have a platform.
Because I think hold on. I said he shouldn't be deplatformed. I don't think that people should trust Lance. I don't think that like I said, being trustworthy, giving the optics of being trustworthy, to go out there to demand a debate with these people and then refuse to debate them. Yeah, I think that you are bad faith. I think that you are untrustworthy, and I don't think that I would ever want to give you my views if that's the kind of person that you are. If you're going to waste my time like this, when I came to get information from you and instead you just played a bunch of freaking bullcrap games and gave me nothing the entire time, and especially when your position is fighting, when your position is supposed to be fighting for the indigenous people, and you are supposed to be the one who's having their back in this debate, yet you do absolutely nothing for their name, for their deaths, for their for like, you know, what it is that you want people to believe or what it is you want people to get behind or the movement that you would want to push. Yes, if you are going to go through all of this and then do nothing to help your cause, yeah, I think you're kind of a piece of crap.
Oh, no, that's not. No. I would argue that they did more to accomplish what they were trying to do then.
Okay.
Well, see, this is
Again,
the thing.
we
Okay,
will go over
wait.
other people's reactions as well, but like I doubt.
I don't know how anyone else reacted. What I want to say though is that as someone, I'm not. The reason why I care about
What's
what
up,
happens
Neo
in
Morai?
the reason why I care what goes on in that space is not because I want us to have like the best of all best faith debates with people of all kinds of ideas, some of which are hateful, right? I don't care about that. I care about the impacts that it has, and the debate area, the space, it impacts everyone, even people who don't participate
That's
in
what
that
I'm
space.
saying.
Right. So the thing is, at the moment, like the people who are arguing on behalf of the marginalized people, the people who are most vulnerable, they are people who don't even give a fuck about what happens. It's just a thought experiment for them, and that's why, you know, no one understands like the purpose. Like, why do we not want people to do these things? Like, why? Like, what actual like outcomes that do they have? And even just like I feel like people are getting pretty fucking lazy and careless, and the detachment from any kind of repercussions, you know, feeling like they have ownership over all topics. I think, you know, a lot of people just come in and make a mess and let everyone else deal with the consequences. So I think that I'm perfectly fine with making people who are arguing for narratives that lead to more violent ends. I think that, you know, do whatever you gotta do.
That's yes, that is Lance and Tail. They are arguing for narratives that are causing violent ends, and Connor and Lauren are saying, okay, all of these people may have died, but like there are narratives that are leading to violent ends that we want to stop from happening.
No, the narratives that they are saying is that indigenous people are behind it, right?
No, they never said that.
Well, then what's the danger?
What do you mean?
No, I'm serious though. Like, they are getting upset because I don't know what you think. Like, what's your ideal outcome?
I've already gone over this like 100 times.
I really don't understand what you think. Like, what do you think Lauren is trying to do here?
I think she's trying to tell Lance that he's bad faith and that he doesn't know anything that he's talking about. He challenged her. She didn't challenge him. He challenged her, and she came to defend her own position.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
I remember. I did not think this is a good idea.
Yeah.
Like, I was like very displeased about this, but I was like, oh wait. Well, when I was like, oh, it's about indigenous stuff, I think it's fair for Lance to, you know, give it a shot, even though I really had low expectations for it. But I think that, well, you'll see how it turns out. But ultimately, yeah, I think that like maybe I feel like you would have done different research for this if you knew that. I don't know. Just think about it.
Okay.
We can continue.
Sure. Okay. So let's move the conversation forward because I would like to move forward instead of talking about incense burning. So basically what you were talking about, one of the major contentions that we were going to bring up tonight was whether or not the current actions of the Canadian government or the actions since 1996 constituted genocide. I watched your debate with Destiny. I liked it. I thought it was interesting. Oh, maybe it was a fan of yours. I'm sorry if I'm misattributing that to you.
Yeah, I was going to say I didn't debate Destiny on this.
Yeah, it was a fan of yours.
Like if I read the CBC or I go online, you can see, and I mean, you can disagree with this if you want. They'll talk about how there's higher drug use in these communities, higher incest and rape, neglect, these things in general. And this is not talking about just the foster care families. This is talking about the general population. And they say that it is because of the legacy of the residential school and things that they were taught while they were there, perhaps. But wouldn't it follow that if these things are happening in the community, that is why more kids are being put in the foster system? And I just, like, does that follow to you?
Yeah, so what you're trying to do is lay blame directly on, I guess, parents for their drug use.
No, I'm not trying to lay blame. I'm just trying to sort out why this is happening so that we can have a conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. You're just asking questions. And in this case, it would be the overwhelming reason why they are being taken from their families, again, falls under neglect. Now, neglect can include parents who are using drugs. Neglect can include that. There's a number of reasons why they're taken from their families. In terms of the...
It's like, oh, yeah, sure. You're just asking questions. But I do agree with literally everything you just said.
Conditions on these reserves?
Mm-hmm.
Once again, okay, I'm not going to say most people. I think that, okay, some people that are not you have different goals when it comes to, someone that you believe is probably still a white nationalist, right? Like, I don't know. At some point, you have to accept that they're not going to treat them exactly like in the best faith versus, just, doing whatever is winning in their eyes, I guess, right?
I guess.
That makes sense.
I mean, look, I would consider this the same as I would, like, watching Destiny try to debate Mio, and Mio staying completely calm the whole time, and Destiny getting super triggered because Mio refuses to answer questions, refuses to actually respond to him directly, refuses to actually debate any of the ideas that are actually on the table. And so Destiny's getting more and more pissed off throughout the entire conversation and is just ready for it to be over at the end because it's just a complete crap show. The person who he's talking to is not being good faith and is not having, is not even like in the same world as Destiny is. And so it's frustrating. I think that's what it's like for Connor and Lauren to be having this conversation right here, where they're trying to actually get to some claim from them or understand what it is they believe or understand what it is they disagree with them. And now they're like, they've spent the last hour and a half just like clarifying nitpicking stuff that they continuously misrepresented on them. So yeah, I think I'd be pissed off if I was them too. And I don't think them turning around and getting pissed off. I can't imagine. I don't think that them getting pissed off is proof of anything whatsoever when this is what they've been put through the entire time. Just as I don't think anybody would blame Destiny for getting pissed off after seeing what he went through the entire time.
I mean, oh, right, but whose fault is that though?
The people who are being bad faith.
Destiny, no. Do you think it's really like Mio's fault? Like Mio is not trying to be there in good faith. So whose fault is it if Mio gets to go be bad faith on Destiny's platform?
Well, it's Mio's fault.
Really? You think that?
Like, yeah, I think people are responsible for their own actions. Yes.
Right. But is it like just his fault? Like, Destiny already talked to the kid at least once, maybe twice.
If you want to talk about whose fault it is that he was platformed, sure, that's a different conversation as to whose fault it is that Neo's bad faith, or Mio is bad faith.
Or I mean, like, I guess okay, as far as getting frustrated that someone is being bad faith with you. Like the way that I said that, Lance can't really get too mad about Destiny being bad faith in a debate after he already said that he would never be good faith with it or like apologize to them or something like that. I forget what it was, but he was like, yeah, no, I have no respect for you and I would never like give a fuck about that, pretty much, right?
Mhm.
So I said that it's like, well, like Lance, whatever you get after that, like if someone tells
you're
you,
saying that like they all know that Lance lies a lot. It's been proven over and over, and they shouldn't have respected him enough to
He
expect
lies?
him. Yes, we just went over a number of
now?
lies. Yes,
no, right now.
in this debate, he has not been good faith. He has not.
No, not good faith. Lie. Is he lying?
That's what bad faith means. It means
No,
you're
it
being.
doesn't. Bad faith can be like, you can be bad faith using things that aren't lies, but to lead in a direction that is misleading or something. You know what I mean? Like does that make sense? Like it's manipulation.
Yeah, it's the intent to deceive.
Right, but that's like, it's not even deceive. It's like, it's how you, it's using, like, you don't have to lie in order to like herd someone into a direction that isn't necessarily the most honest, right? But that doesn't mean that they're just different ways of doing something, right? So I think that the kind of, you can get mad when someone lies, but if someone's being manipulative and you already like knew that they were going to be manipulative and not be trying to have like an actual like good faith conversation, but they were trying to prove a point in whatever way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, John, that's what I was talking about, saying that he's already been proven to lie numerous times. Like even him lying about the debate, or whether or not he wanted to debate her, or whether or not he was the one who requested the debate. Like, yes, all of those things. All right, I'm going to skip ahead and try to find the closing arguments, because there's only like 20 minutes left in this anyways, and I'm about to fall asleep.
Yeah.
This is like, there's so many things that once you stack them up upon each other, it's the reason why it's not just myself. This is again something that has been recognized by Amnesty International, the UN Human Rights Panel. And again, one of the last things I'll say on this, especially regarding the forced sterilization of women, the International Conference of the United Nations Human Rights Commission held in Montreal stated in March 1999 that Canada is in violation of international law and its treatment of Aboriginal people, and that the condition of natives is the most pressing human right issued to Canadians. It is tantamount to their genocide. So.
Okay, so we're now going to go into closing statements and shout outs. Please do shout yourself out in your closing statements. Thank you all for attending tonight's conversation. I appreciate your well-being.
I hate that the Serfs took this long to actually start bringing up those facts, because those are the things that I expected from the very beginning. And then he starts bringing them up, like I'm glad he actually got to them. That definitely makes me look at this in somewhat of a different light, because he did actually bring up the things that I expected him to bring up. Just he brought them up at the very end of the debate to where people couldn't agree or disagree with them. They just, like, it just sounded like he's the only one who knows these things, and makes it seem as though they disagree with these things. Even if they might disagree with them, they might agree with them. We don't know.
Sorry for all my viewers on my side about the stream crashing. Things happen. It was probably the Canadian CIA. You know how it works.
It's CSIS.
Is that what it's called? CSIS?
It's called CSIS. Everything's lame in Canada.
Wow, including the debates. Now we're going to throw it over to Connor.
Yeah, my name is Connor. I run a YouTube channel named CounterPoints. I'm a center-right, law enforcement veteran, Marine Corps veteran, science fiction, religion, and philosophy nerd. I do like debates like this. Sorry to Tale of Twin Rabbit for being a dick, but sorry, you frustrated me a little bit. And then basically, I know everybody was expecting a fucking bloodbath, and maybe we failed that a little bit, but that's because, like, I don't know, I give a shit. We're talking about people who are being, like, ultimately at the end of the day, regardless of whether or not we call it genocide, we're talking about people who were raped and murdered. We were talking about kids who ran away from their homes and died of exposure. All of this shit is fucked up. So we can talk about the reason why I wanted to enforce descriptive reality is because I've said this before, I'll say this again, is some of the way this stuff is portrayed, I would be probably acting not in the most rational way possible. The reason why I want to nail down descriptive reality of the past, the reason why I want to nail down descriptive reality of the present, is because I think accurate descriptive reality can get you to better prescriptive solutions. So maybe we can talk about that another time. I sincerely appreciate y'all, and I wish you all well.
Okay, now I'm going to throw it over to Lauren Southern.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for having me, first of all, Dylan. I know it's a bit controversial. So firstly, to assert that there is a genocide occurring, to assert that there were mass graves found, out of all of the graves that were allegedly found that have been in the media the last few months, not a single body has been exhumed. Not one. And even so, this doesn't mean there aren't necessarily graves or a graveyard, but all of the chiefs in these communities have stated these are not mass graves if they do exist, and they do know about them. The 751 graves found, the Cowassos band, Chief Cadmus Delorme, emphasized that the findings were not from a mass grave, but unmarked graves. The band leader in Kelowna...
See, she recognizes that all of those people are there, that they are dead, that they haven't been pulled up, so we can't know for a fact, but she will go with what the chiefs of the indigenous tribes say, that like these are graves of people who are dead.
Okay, but like I don't think you understand that like this isn't a point by point like, oh, we can come out like of this like saying, oh, this was a good faith debate. That's not going to happen no matter what. Like the goal is not to have a good faith debate with Lauren Southern. It's to be like, nah, fuck you.
But they
Continue.
didn't do that.
Oh, okay. Just wait.
Said it was not a mass grave for the 215 graves found there, or potentially. The GPR researchers that did this research said nothing is confirmed until things are dug up. Yet progressive activists and media continue to make the claim of mass graves, and so do our debate opponents, exaggerating what were some potentially absolutely horrific things that happened in the past. And we need to be honest about what has occurred to have a proper conversation while not exaggerating. And unfortunately, this is exaggeration.
Sassafras Lance called it mass graves numerous times, over and over at the beginning of the debate. No, then eventually they explained it to him and he stopped. But even before the debate, he called it a mass grave over and over. Sassafras is saying that he's not even calling it that she's fighting nobody. And that's why I'm saying this, is because Sassafras said that she's fighting non-existent people. And I'm saying no. He did say a mass grave. Now, I will explain to you.
Is he wrong?
The idea that you get when you hear mass grave is it is one hole where a bunch of people are piled in to this one grave. Okay, that is a mass grave. Because if you think about it in the way that they're calling it a mass grave, a bunch of different graves with a bunch of different individuals in each one, every graveyard everywhere is a mass grave. And that's, nobody would call that a mass grave. The idea that you get is that
neglect killed a bunch, like all these children, just unmarked graves in the back.
No, that's horrible. Everybody agrees with this. The idea that you get is that they lined them up and killed them all at once, just slaughtered them. They neglected these kids and they were irresponsible with them. That's not this.
To temper the rage.
No, well, yes. One, yes, you want to temper the rage. Yes. Two, you don't want the idea that something happened that didn't happen. It gets to the point of misinformation where you think that a bunch of kids were just lined up in front of a hole and then mowed down so that they could just fall into the hole, and then they just threw some dirt on top of them.
I mean, that's not what I imagined when someone said mass grave of an indigenous kids behind it. I was like, oh yeah, they probably just like toss them, like, you know, they're like what they do with trash, they bury in the backyard and don't think about it, right? That's kind of, I mean, when someone says mass grave, it might elicit some kind of image in your mind, but like, I mean, if we're just trying to keep a if we're trying to wrangle what a term, I guess.
Definition of
elicits-
mass grave: a pit dug in the ground to receive a large number of corpses. One pit, large number of corpses. This is what people hear
Okay.
when they hear the word mass grave.
Okay. Well, I guess I'm just
You
I didn't know that.
are thinking on another level. You are above the rest of us.
I don't know. I don't assume. I assume some things, but there are a lot of things that I don't assume. So I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't assume that I would know what that was. But anyway, go
Okay.
ahead.
Has led to legitimate hate crimes and destruction today, and that is unfortunate, and especially unfortunate that people are making excuses for it.
Okay, now I'm going to throw it over to Tale of Two
Excuses
Rabbits.
for what?
Excuses for the exaggeration. Like they started off by like admitting that these terms don't fit what it is that they were saying, and then they go on to continuously make excuses for why they use these terms and why churches should be burned down. So
No one said anything about why church. Okay, now you're not being good faith, Tom.
no, I'm saying that's what she said. You asked me what she was talking about. I'm repeating what she was talking about.
Okay, so that's what she's attributing to that. Right. So she is trying to make the highlight the churches as, having she feels like the churches aren't getting enough attention in comparison to the scale of what happened to the children.
Wait,
Okay.
no, that's not what she said. She said that they were making excuses for churches being burnt down. That like every time they would say try to make a point as to why these churches shouldn't be burnt down and why this is a problem, Lance
They all
and the other
agreed.
guy would fight them on it.
They agreed from the beginning.
They said that the churches shouldn't be burnt down and then continuously
that
fought them
Lauren.
on whether or not the churches should be burnt down.
No, they didn't. They never did that. All they did was challenge what they were actually like saying. What they were saying, suggesting like, oh, well, I mean, some of these happened that weren't arson. Okay, that's a fact. And what are you going to do with that?
Okay.
I just think that a lot more of your reactions are like influenced than you realize. And I understand my reactions are very influenced. I'm just saying, pointing out yours too.
So when I go over these and we talk about rhetoric and the way that people come off, we're talking about the way that people are going to perceive these things, the way that people are going to perceive what Lance did here, the way that they'll perceive what Lauren did here, or any of the others. Like, this is what we're talking about when we talk about rhetoric, like why we talk about whether or not you use the word mass grave, right? This is the problem, is that I think that he has a just cause to fight for, and I think he does it injustice when he does these sorts of games while he's supposed to be representing a just cause.
Yeah, but like I think that I don't know. I think that you have different standards for people who are on the side of justice than you do for people who are just, asking questions, right?
No.
No?
Like, no.
Didn't you
You
think it's fair
just
to
saw me
not
just
be
go off on frickin' Mio the other day for being a Nazi and
Yeah,
went
because-
after him
okay,
for the whole
he's
asking
legitimately
questions thing.
100% hateful. Like, you've talked to him, right? So that's different. Like, what I'm saying is your threshold for good faith to extend to someone who is very clearly like hateful is just different than some other people.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Including Lance. So there you go.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I don't know. I'm unclear. Academics, historians, indigenous nations, government agencies, they've been open about this genocide for decades. The Truth and Reconciliation Report was issued 6 years ago. The concession was made that these fires aren't somehow all a conspiracy of Antifa. The concession was made that the mass graves are being identified and require further research. The concede was made that the foster care system is absolutely toxic and therefore the removal policy was unacceptable. And in response, I got rhetorical tactics and a fair amount of shouting because this was fun. Fully mature people learn from their mistakes and move forward. Fully mature people own up to their past. Fully mature people acknowledge that sometimes a priest can accidentally set fire to his own church rather than scream at the person who says that it happened. When members of my community learned that I'd agreed to participate in this, they were appalled. I hope that they now at least kind of partially understand why I did.
Okay. Before we throw it over to Lance to wrap it up, I just want to let everybody know that tomorrow we have the Hippy Dippy Roundtable on my show for this Friday. And next week, I had to reschedule due to today's technical difficulties my review of Tariq Nasheed's new movie, Butt Breaking, with Your Movie Sucks, which should be happening hopefully some point next week. Now we're going to throw it over to Lance to wrap it up.
Yeah, I don't think there could be any restorative justice as long as the people responsible aren't taking claims for the actions they've done. If I could use a simile, it's kind of like you, Lauren Southern, because ultimately, if you had spent your career rising to become one of the darling children of the alt-right, palling around with people like Brittany Pettibone, Richard Spencer, touring around the globe with someone like, let's say, Stefan Molyneux, who is well known for measuring the skulls of black and white people, spreading the Great Replacement conspiracy, spreading the Great Genocide conspiracy theory, then going on tour spreading both of those conspiracy theories, in addition to going to join that far-right nationalist group, first Europa, and then joining them by shooting flares at immigrants, and doing all of this while at the same time all of it bubbles over and boils over to the point where at the end of the day you ultimately led to one of the people contributing towards the Christchurch shooting, who declared that the Great Replacement theory was one of the reasons why they committed the atrocity that they did. Afterwards, you then took everything back.
Pussy. You fucking pussy. Bringing this all up at the end so I don't have a chance to respond.
You can respond. I'm more than glad. More than glad. More than glad. I would love. Please.
Okay, counter.
Bring it all up. Bring it all up.
Can I just say? Wait. You can respond, but let me just be clear. I am not going to be part of it. If you want to make this into a fucking shit show, I'm leaving, and I will not contribute to that because that's not the type of brand I want to produce. Do you both understand that? Okay, Lance finished, and then I'm out. You two can fucking eat each other alive if you want.
But,
sounds good.
Lance, Lance, you gonna finish?
Yeah. I'll finish. And then turning the whole thing around to suddenly say that you're going to rebrand yourself as this wonderful new centrist and everything's wonderful and that you write children's books now and it's all ooh-woo and everything's good now and nothing bad ever happened. I think if you wanted to achieve restorative justice when it came all of this stuff, then what you had to do was simply acknowledge any of the bad things you've done in the past, but you haven't. So I don't think the idea of you now doing this rebranding tool.
I think it is incredibly sleazy of him to bring this up at the end. But if he is going to stay and have a conversation with her and hear her defend herself at least once, and if he doesn't like the first defense, then he can just say, like, you know, screw it and leave. I think that that's okay. If he's gonna do that. Well, I just skipped like 10 minutes past this, and he was sitting by himself.
Oh, okay.
So,
well, okay.
Is anything more than you just seen the writing on the wall? That's ultimately what this all is. You knew what was happening to your peers, and you were smart enough and astute enough to walk away from it.
You're such a bitch, Lance.
Okay.
Bring it up. Let's go. Let's go.
Oh, wait.
Talk to me. I'm staying right here. I'm not going anywhere.
Throw 7,000 accusations at me and then ask me to respond.
That is a massive gish gallop. That's like, he really did. Yeah, that was a massive gish gallop. He brought up like 10 different points. And then he's like, now respond. It's like, wait, these are 10 different things, like, 10 different incidents.
Here.
Yes.
He's like, I'll stay. You can. I'm not going anywhere. You can say whatever you want.
I know. The point is that, like, unless she was writing them all down, or unless he repeats them all back to her so that she can write them all down, it's hard for her to respond to them. But yeah, like, that's what she's saying is
he
like, you just get
her past.
Yeah.
And said what his opinion is on why she's changing.
Yeah.
You just don't like him. It's fine.
It has nothing to do. I don't like her a lot more than I don't like him. It has nothing to do with that.
You can dislike them in different ways, right? You know what I mean? Like, there are some people where it's like they aren't like. It's not that they're evil. They just fucking bother you, and you don't like how they operate, and you think that they're kind of Weasley. That's like fine. But like in reality, like Lauren Southern has literally shot flares into refugee faces because that's how much she fucking doesn't want immigrants around. Like, you don't just switch over the course of fucking year. I think it's completely reasonable that if she's talking shit about people from I'm a group member of, whatever. I'm very stoned. I still can't talk. But like, I think, like, if she was talking about, like, I don't know, Asian people and stuff, and like, I don't debate because I don't give a fuck, but if I were a person that wanted to engage with that, I would take it upon myself to go there and just be like, you're a fucking cunt. I can say whatever I want. I think that's my right. So I think that this is totally reasonable. And if he had hung up on her at this point, I would have been like, okay, you're kind of a bitch for doing that. But he was like ready to go. Continue.
Okay.
To them. That's great. Connor and I are going to have a chat with my chat. And if you want to not be a bitch boy and have a full conversation another time, we can do that. We'll arrange that.
Oh.
Okay. You all have a pleasant afternoon.
I'm right here, Lauren. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to go talk to Connor.
I have to go join my family and my life, but seriously, let's set this up for another time. Let's set this up for another time. I'm 100% for it. All right.
Sounds good.
See you later, bitch boy.
Have fun.
Someone's so mad.
Oh, hey, everybody.
Sonia, you don't have to agree with
It's me. It's Lance.
I haven't watched
your friendly neighborhood Lance.
I don't like. I think he probably just hangs out. So I didn't.
Yeah, he already hung up.
Yeah, I mean, like, what's the problem with any of this?
Like. So yeah, so like, I wish she had stayed. That would have been great. If I'm getting nitpicky here, like, he brought it up at the end of the debate when, like, they had a schedule to go on to where, like, they were supposed to end.
He just said he was gonna hang out with Connor.
Yes,
though.
like, if Connor had another plan to say, like, hey, I want to interview you after the show and, like, ask you about some of your positions, and so now she's supposed to be on. Oh my goodness.
No, I'm serious though. Like, I'm speaking from his point of view, right? I didn't like really I didn't go down the alt-right rabbit hole. Like, I didn't have interest. Even not becoming one, but just I don't care about that world, whatever.
Sure.
I'm more interested in like the sellout lefties.
I did, and I came out of it because of good faith people who would have conversations and have debates with somebody who is as big of a piece of crap as me.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. But also, that was someone else's job. You would be someone else's problem. You wouldn't be my problem. You wouldn't be Lance's problem. Right? Like, not everything is about bringing someone over. Like, no one cares about saving Lauren Southern and, like,
true.
You know?
Well, again, with that sort of logic, we can just say, like, well, the indigenous people dying aren't our problem. Like, that's not our problem. Let's not even worry about it. I mean,
if you don't, right, but they don't care. She doesn't care. Are you kidding? You think she cares about that?
No, I don't think he cares either. I don't think any of them care.
Because he talks about the indigenous shit all the time.
Yes, I think it's all one big virtue signal. I think if he actually cared, he would have gone into that conversation with a massive platform, streaming out to numerous audiences all at once.
What are you talking about?
Thousands of people. And he could have actually given some substantive critique and data and information, but he saved it all for the end.
People ever listen to that shit anyway?
I highly disagree with you.
Exactly as much as he had to. He waited until when you said that they were giving details, it showed they had details.
I think that anybody who watched this may have gone in thinking that Lance was probably right and she was probably wrong, and left this believing that Lance has absolutely no clue what he's talking about, and that CounterPoints and Lauren Southern were actually right the whole time. I think that will be the majority of opinions.
No. This is the problem, okay? I don't know the percentage of opinions, okay? I really don't. all I can say is that there is a solid portion of people that agree with me and a solid portion that agree with you. And I think it's just based on, you know, what we place more importance on. And it's not like it's just a coming from different angles, right? It's not one, there's not one true right way to do it. You're a person that, you know, you're coming from the right. You were in like that, whatever.
I'm on the right.
That whole, no, you're not in the fucking, you're not, whatever. You know what I mean? Alt-right shit.
I'm not in
alt-right.
alt-right. That is correct.
Yeah. Wait, what?
I am not on the alt-right. That is correct.
Yeah. But you said that you, like, this is your wheelhouse of people, right? These are the people you focus on.
Uh-huh.
Right. So you are going to come at it from a different angle. Lauren Southern and the alt-right are way smaller amount
The debate with Lance and
of what was I saying? Oh, yes. I'm not concerned about what happens to the individual Lauren Southerns of the world, right? I just care about mitigating like the impact on the people around me.
Okay. I would put money on it that like 90% of people came out of this believing that Lance didn't know anything about this and that like he's completely wrong.
That's such a random number. That
No,
you
it's
understand
not.
Though that that's a random number.
No, it's not because again,
can you really like provide evidence that 90%? Like these are just people that I'm not saying that I know. I'm just saying that I have a different one.
Sure. So again, when we talk about rhetoric, we're talking about the way that
a little bit of a crush on you and is maybe jealous that I'm the one talking to.
Okay. When we talk about rhetoric and we talk about the way that people interact with certain phrases, certain words, certain like vibrato, like the way that you present yourself and your arguments matter. Even if people go into this not even caring about which side is right and which side is wrong, they already picked their side before that. They may go into it thinking, or like Lance could come out of this looking like a guy though that they could say, okay, but this is like a reasonable guy. I could get information from him. I should go follow him and hear what he has to say in the future. Like there are all sorts of things that you can get out of this, but for sure, the way that he presented himself, that what people will get from that is he is a snake. He is dishonest, and he doesn't know anything about the indigenous people in Canada.
Why did he? I can understand like, you know, the disingenuous stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like, no, not the part where he doesn't know anything. Like you said that he started providing more information later on.
Right. Yes. Right at the end, without like that
he didn't refuse to answer anything, right?
No, the first like hour and a half or so was him.
Destiny to moderate?
I don't know.
Of course he's not gonna do. Okay, no.
Yeah.
There was a different moderator, but I think that it is like. I mean, like I even just gave the example before. Like we already established that Destiny like wishes with peace and love, totally his business. Okay, if I'm like, Tom, I'm gonna debate you, but it's not gonna be in good faith. I'm just gonna fuck with you the whole time. Mm-hmm. Like if I said that, can you be mad at me if you debate me? when I'm like that, right?
Okay, so you're saying these people should have known that Lance is bad faith and dishonest ahead of time and shouldn't have gone into the debate at all.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying Lauren Southern is someone that I personally think that anyone, you know what, if you're not, I expected him to fuck this up. Like and I've been like upset in the past, and he knows I've been upset about previous debates that he's had. I thought this was going to be a fucking nightmare, and I was I was very pleasantly surprised that it was not a nightmare. You know?
As Sassafras said, attack the ideas, not the people. Lauren Southern went into the debate with Xander Hall, went into the debate, a couple of debates with Destiny.
They fucked up. Oh no, not Destiny. I mean, like,
I know Xander Hall, but she went into these debates in good faith and rebutted their arguments and their ideas. And like, if you look at her most recent debates, they are substantive and they aren't dog whistly and they aren't whatever it is that he's supposed to be fighting against. And so, like, I don't know what
do you mean? Oh, no, it's an attack. It's not an attack on her strategy.
No, it's an attack on her as a person.
Yes,
yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yes, the point. That's the goal. It's, you are not I'm not going to take, you know, the message is you are not a legitimate voice in the conversation because you have like probably nefarious intentions, considering all the evidence that we have of things that she's done, right? Like, you agree she's done horrible things in the past, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, exactly. So you think she can be saved, but coming from the part,
it has
or
nothing
I mean, like,
to do with that.
You think that there may be a world in which she could exist as a voice on a platform somewhere, right? We don't give a fuck about her. Like, she could disappear off the earth and we would not even notice. So it's whatever, like, this is just like kind of like a rejection of her legitimacy. You know, like, this is just we don't have to engage. Like, people are so used to, you know, people who are removed from any of these situations just acting like they're having either a fight over Thanksgiving dinner or like a casual conversation at the bar with, you know, with a couple buds and having some beers, right?
Okay, we got to get through a couple reactions real quick, and then I got to go to bed. I'm up an hour later than I needed to be.
I'll let you go.
By your definition, literally every single cemetery is a mass grave. Oh, did you go to the mass grave yesterday and visit Grandpa? Like, yeah.
Let's let him finish.
We've denied mass graves exist, even though the definition of mass is big. So at this point...
Connor, shut the fuck up.
Lord, please, for the love of God. Tale of Twin Rabbits, I'm pretty sure your brain is running on 1995, okay?
Never mind. Connor, you're clear for takeoff.
We're fucking 30 minutes into this goddamn debate talking about, like, I don't know, terms about fucking murder and descriptive reality and history and all that kind of shit. And you want to talk to Lauren about fucking GPR and whether or not she can offhand fucking come up with a new way to conduct anthropology? I don't give a shit. Fucking catch up. Because basically what you're doing right now is you're acting smarter than everybody else in the fucking room while saying absolutely fucking nothing.
Absolutely fucking true. Okay.
It is like he hit the nail on the head, dude. The guy was acting so pompous the entire time while saying absolutely nothing, contributed nothing the entire debate. Lance contributed 100 times more than anything that guy freaking said.
And doing all of this while at the same time by shooting flares at immigrants, and doing all of this while at the same time all of it bubbles over and boils over to
I like it doesn't even get the facts wrong. Like there was some genuinely dumb shit that she was involved in, horrific shit. Shooting flares at immigrants?
the point where at the end of the day, you ultimately led to...
Yeah, I never heard that one until Aiko brought it up. Yeah, it doesn't... Yeah, it doesn't seem as though it happened. There's absolutely nothing on this on the entire internet. There was no violence plotted at this event. It was entirely peaceful. We just brought a flag and a flare to light up the ship because it was night. The boat actually had no refugees on it. It was all workers that were being paid to go traffic people. At the whole point of it was just an act of defiance against illegal trafficking. So yeah, she didn't shoot a flare at anybody. There weren't even immigrants there.
To respond to them. That's great. Connor and I are going to have a chat with my chat. And if you want to not be a bitch boy and have a full conversation another time, we can do that. We'll arrange that.
Okay. You all have a pleasant afternoon.
I'm right here, Lauren. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to go talk to Connor.
I have to go join my family and my life, but I'm seriously, let's set this up for another time. Let's set this up for another time.
Oh my God, let me moderate that debate, please.
100% for it. All right, see you later.
That's why.
Have fun. Oh, hey, everybody. It's me. It's Lance. It's your friendly neighborhood Lance. Oh, well, I'm excited for that. That'd be wonderful. That'd be wonderful. Well, no, I would take everything about the facts. I would stick to the facts, the feelings, not talk about that. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know if I'll have an opportunity to say that stuff Lauren's face, so. Hey, Traverse 100, you did 10 subs. I appreciate you. It's good to see you. How dare you bring up things that I've absolutely done? You didn't need to push it down to 6 to 10. Please tell me this is going to be a Twitter clap.
How's it going?
I'm not a debate, bro. Clearly. Everyone was so worried. Everyone was so worried. Fantastic.
This actually might be one of the worst performances I've ever seen from Lance in my entire life. And that's saying something, because he has said some astoundingly stupid shit to me. I liked how you were like begging them in the middle to please talk more because you realized that they were getting so absolutely fucking shit stomped. That
so
like
one of the preconditions of me doing this, because it was either going to be me or
Well, he was actually timing it. Like he actually timed how much each side was talking. Yes, she was a white nationalist at one point.
And,
Lance and the rabbit dipshit fuckhead.
Well, okay, I will say the avatar person with the avatar.
Okay.
And I was like, well, if she alone has spoke double, and that it's not even including Connor, then I need to do my best to like.
Yeah, but the issue.
She was in the alt-right, man. Like this is a white nationalist group. Okay.
Was that it wasn't because they didn't have enough space to talk. It was because they didn't have anything to say. Yeah. That rabbit guy shut the fuck up the entire conversation. Is he an indigenous person?
I believe so.
Oof, he's gonna get harassed tonight. Yeah, Jesus, what a horrible fucking showing.
I believe they're getting pretty railed online.
Yeah,
right
they
now.
deserve it hard. They super deserve it. Like
I don't think they deserve everything.
Absolutely, they deserve. This is probably one of the worst showings in these conversations. Wait. If you're going to take on, first of all, actually, I will push back so fucking hard against you. Okay.
Then I need to do my best to like.
Yeah, but the issue was that it wasn't because they didn't have enough space to talk. It was because they didn't have anything to say. Yeah. That rabbit guy shut the fuck up the entire conversation. Is he an indigenous person?
I believe so.
Oof, he's gonna get harassed tonight. Yeah, Jesus, what a horrible fucking showing.
I believe they're getting pretty railed online.
Yeah,
right
they
now.
deserve it hard. They super deserve it. Like
I don't think they deserve everything.
Absolutely, they deserve. This is probably one of the worst showings in these conversations.
Yeah, see, Dylan saying they're getting railed hard. Everybody is upset with them. Like I said, like 90% of the people coming out of this, he privated his Twitter. Dude, he needs to private his whole life. Like 90% of the people who listened to this came out of it thinking, okay, Lance and this rabbit guy are pieces of crap. Okay.
If you're going to take on, first of all, actually, I will push back so fucking hard against you, okay? If I'm going to get called an irresponsible platformer every fucking time I have any fucking conversation with any of these people, if you're going to market yourself as the fucking indigenous man's mascot and giggle and talk about how you play video games and do all this fucking indigenous culture, and you talk for 10 fucking minutes.
Cynical Finch, it regardless of like which, because we've been over this like 10 times on this stream. If you go to like the top 5 options on Google, when you Google white nationalist, all of them will have completely different definitions. All of them. Most people, when they think of a white nationalist, they think of a nationalist for white people. So like a nationalist is somebody who would put their nation, that they would put their nation over nations of others. Like they want their nation to do well so much to the point that they would fight for it to the detriment of other nations. That's a nationalist, right? Now, add the word white to it. White nationalist is somebody who would fight for white people in their nation, even to the detriment of other races or in their nation. So that's like how most people would think of a white nationalist. And so, yeah, so somebody who says things like, well, we need to keep a white majority, or we need to count down to the mention of Japan and South Africa. Yeah, there's nationalists of all other types. That's literally what I just quoted says. White nationalism is a type of nationalism or pan-nationalism which espouses the belief that white people are a race and seeks to develop and maintain a white racial and national identity. So no, all this is saying is that they want to keep an identity. That's literally all that says, is white people want to keep their identity.